City location?
Cimarron and Brianna.
Everyone's
Call 2863.
I'm not sure about
Call
earlier today when Tim was on duty, but last week there was a report of this being up.
Never wanted an
But not sure if they have been working on it since Saturday.
What is it? 245 in there.
Shirt and khaki pants.
Excuse me, Sergeant, anything I see?
When Tim was on duty, but last week there was a report of this being I'm not entirely sure, but the last people that were working had been working, and that was on Saturday. But I can go ahead and submit a work order to maintenance and see what they say.
Deep 21.
Oh, City Communications. DB21.
Yes, sir. Can you show me clear? Give me a QOL at home store. Greenwood and Sandy.
Okay. I have position for a while. Okay, go ahead.
Give me a minute. You can put me on this call. 642, my call, whatever. Yeah, show me that CNS blading. We still took Dix's. You back to me. You back about 2 low.
Okay, go ahead. A position for a while. Thank you. Next,
2225.
You back to me. You back about 2 low. Not to be.
Can I get you back to Roberts Point Park? It's going to be on the road approximately just past the entrance to the City Marina parking lot. We got an automated 911 call from an iPhone or other Apple device advising the owner responsibly in an accident or so. No answer on callback. What's the location?
Target hatchback 17.
Can I get you down to Roberts Point Park? It's going to be on the road approximately just past the entrance to the City Marina parking lot. We got an automated 911 call from an iPhone or other Apple device advising the owner responsibly in an accident or so. No answer on callback.
$132.
432. Charlie 225 for the urgent assist at 1123 O'Connell Street. 1123 O'Connell.
120?
It's within on Staples and SBA.
Okay, this tracking, because you're not tracking. And you know there will be a transport there.
Charlie 225, 10-4, come 4 ways off.
4 ways off, 10-4. You know, I think those recovery, requesting assistance from PD. Fully both vehicle and 2 subjects came out, 1 jumped in the vehicle.
Okay, because you're not tracking. And you know there will be a transport there.
230.
I'll be clear. Can you show me QOL, please? Texas Eye Care off of Staples.
31. Texas Eye Care off of Staples, 10-4.
125, be 23. We're going through.
1209.
4150, clear, 10-4.
Guys are waiting for them to pack down, Roger. Third.
Hey, stand by right there.
Into 358 East, over Staples.
Go ahead and I'll see you. 25, you can cancel.
I believe she said 2202. 708. I'm going to be happy for the call. ESD 1019 at 341 Greenwood. 334 Greenwood. Pressure volume 1.
Behind her is vacant. The owner's passed away. She said there's been trucks there all morning. Taking stuff out. She just thinks that nobody should be there.
Again, you're pulling 603 Staples and I'm out 10-4.
Was that also anybody else? 13. We're going to be pulling in the red house.
14 is not less. Again, you're pulling 603 Staples and Everhart 10-4.
Dispatch engine 11, we're back in service.
And Kelly, let me see.
Or you're close at the 23 Christi. Brady? She's advising she's now in her orange Bronco in the back of the apartment complex.
Charlie 1252, Charlie 11. I'm in the back.
Dispatch engine 11, we're back in service.
And Charles, let me see.
Going back to...
She's advising she's now in her orange Bronco in the back of the apartment complex.
1340. 1340.
Complete chest pain, high blood pressure, and he's got a cough to be down.
Location?
Business 77, thank you. Bishop, Victor, Paul, Thomas, 913.
That's the girl.
14, if you could start the medical. Complete chest pain, high blood pressure, and he's got a cough to be down.
1340.
Victor, Paul, Tom, 0913.
Counselor.
We're off traffic.
Location?
33 Southport, small stand boy, 7536.
215, it's going to be a charge for an LP and a mother, pushing an officer. 17 LP, shirt 42, name Maria.
Okay.
Go to 9 clear, show me a flag down location.
Go ahead.
We're the 6 for the time report. Hold on, no. 29249 plus 11, that's a new one. Also, the water open on the west side, but she looked up to 9 clear, show me a flag down location.
Go ahead.
I just logged down about a female screaming on Cooper, Michigan area. Dispatch 3158, 83 miles. Don't be too late.
That's what you take copy. He's going to be friends with this driver at the stores in Delaware, ready for a gray, Dodge Neon, from the roadway, also license is done, David John Tom, 8019, David John Tom, 8019, last seen, taking to the stores, going towards SPID, from all the roadway, 314. Village Charles, Village Charles,
It's not paperwork ready. Yeah, has settled down. It's not paperwork ready. What has been called. She should be in about maybe 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes.
Bulk security, work check.
James,
Do you have his ID, the student's ID? 36598, 36598.
667, Dakota.
667 10-4. No, did you want to do that first?
Pretty clear. I'll be a minute.
667, Dakota.
667 10-4.
What's up, Lieutenant? One front. 32.
John George Frank 622, Simone Higgins and 4.
110-3325. 110-3325, Mr. RP. 3125, what's in the call for me?
2125 call came in at 1401.
That's a 140 clear.
416,
3325, that's RP.
Fill me a report call for 901 Lippert and assign me an offense number.
Call came in at 1401.
On the inside, instead of the west.
36600, 36600.
Fill me a report call for
Enter
901
location.
Lippert and assign me an offense number.
on the call. Call Young Zebra 2467.
Charlie, what was the location?
10-4. You can go ahead and close it out, show me report.
Copy 1 Stephen Junior. 357-514.
01545. That's 240-01545.
10-4. You can go ahead and close it out, show me report, mate.
Super. 8 Alpha.
Call 7.
Location.
I didn't realize for the fighters on the phone. 226 up. Can you call him?
Room 218.
I was a bit early and he still hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, let me go. 412
Ryan.
Civil.
Still in at 4910-4.
Accident. Yep.
Yep, 160.
17413, go ahead.
You got your plate. Lincoln Charles Young, 1153. Can you get her name, please?
She didn't say that she
We
did.
have early out of service and quarters.
For, supply.
Lincoln Charles Young, 1153, stand by.
Yep, 160.
And
Supply.
7122.
Bravo to 20 area.
10-4.
Bravo, 2 times 10-5.
Clear Henry. 1422.
10-4. Definitely left their vehicle here in the parking lot, looks disabled, and there's dogs in there, and one looks like he's not doing so good. You know,
Got the 245 case number is going to be 74.
Their vehicle here in the parking lot looks disabled, and there's dogs in there, and one looks like he's not doing so good. Do you know if animal control?
Last name Nixon, first name Curtis, 6-1-2007.
Can you go to info for the animal control request?
We're on 40 traffic.
The location?
So report in Carlton. Nora William, 9479.
Go ahead.
Last name Nixon, first name Curtis, 6-1-2007.
No, the PCCSA plays well.
4 Alpha.
The location?
Report in Carlton. Nora William, 9479.
Plays well.
10-4.
No, 160. Yeah, I'm going to hold my call. You have a service for the line. We're ready to retreat.
10-4.
Boardwalk Shopping Center.
No, I think Crystal's calling advising that a male
Community service.
attacked her outside the location near the vacant shop next door.
167.
10-4. It looks like she's rambling, advising with the
Oh,
no, I think Crystal's calling advising that a male attacked her outside the location near the vacant shop next door. Yeah, well, all that time to find. Right, and children are missing. Got the 260-290. Can I show you on out for this disturbance in progress at South Staples in Louisiana? South Staples in Louisiana.
Okay. 343 primary 7 fire 0.
Sure, trying to fight another male. There's no 40 units, I think. Right now as well, they're arguing.
660, clear, report out this out.
660, 10-4.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
343 primary is having a fire drill.
10-4.
SBDO.
660, clear, report out this out.
660, 10-4.
55850. They're both going to be on one case card possession control substance PG2 under 1.
Hello, video process.
And then could I get case number one more time?
Hello, Penny. On 7 David Victor, Young King.
ID 10-4. We're going to take that to 265 marches. Just want to say right. Our boss brother. Last name, Nixon, first name, Tina, 10-11-71.
We arrived, there's nobody out front.
664.
Dispatch engine 13.
Hello, name, date of birth. On 7 David Victor, Young
Auto service and quarters, restocking supplies.
7 David Victor, Young King. Ron.
10-4.
664.
Wait, 10 for yourself.
No, my name, date of birth.
664, go ahead.
Priscilla Rodriguez, 112276. 112276.
10-4.
39, come here.
4327.
10-4.
Number 1303 civil.
7801, violate number 39.
424 Old Robstown Road.
74-0074.
3801.
133, can you show myself 121, clear from that call? Parent should be up here about another 10 minutes or so.
3 civil.
664, checking Rodriguez, Priscilla, 112276. She shows to be on a sentence. She has a larceny misdemeanor. No, actually a felony. In Arkansas, what is in state pickup only. For that, she's clear.
No, actually, it's a felony. In Arkansas, but it's in state pickup only. Other than that, she's clear.
4730 Air Street, Unit 1.
Thanks, Emerson.
Can you look for Brian Battles? 203, High School.
10-4. It's going to be referenced about your neighbor went over to the location and requested a medic by someone possibly overdosed or he's an officer.
Dispatch manager.
10-4. Can you look for a Brian Battles? It'll be Brian Keith Battles.
With the lieutenant.
Ryan Battles.
Still on location.
10-4.
There's going to be Brian with a...
10-4, 957.
Civil.
So, location from Patrol 3, then you have a million person taser and laser neighborhood over to location. Someone possibly OD. He's not the location. There's 2 Charlie units around.
We are available.
And Bravo 2?
Bravo 2, just get advice on Patrol 3. They have an EMS. 4730 is a neighbor went over to a location. Someone possibly OD. RP's not at the location. There's 2 Charlie units around. As well as medic.
664. Subject's in house. He shows the same address as Priscilla. He's clear, no 29.
15 16 Bushwick Call. ESU 10107 at 2301. Report 22. Sending Pleasure Island National Seashore. Bushwick Call. Report Fire Dispatch 230.
664. Subject's in house. He shows the same address as Priscilla. He's clear, no 29.
Ranger Station. 15.
Jordan, is Bravo?
Report 22. It's going to be Pleasure Island National Seashore. Bushwick Call. Report Fire Dispatch 230.
Left for received.
It's going to be at the Ranger Station. 15.
Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. The other 28, we're from taking inbound to Staple Street Station. I get pretty close to Port Park.
Round 1870 at Dialysis Island.
Anything clear for physical settlement from Carlos. SPD Langton, SPD westbound Langton. Acknowledge on Patrol 4.
Step 4, it's going to be at 202 Ohio Avenue, 202 Ohio. It's going to be for vehicle loss. 125.
In custody 1432. Case number is 760076.
Henry John 7774. I think that's Mr. Henry John.
125. No, I'm sorry. No, female in custody. Is that case number?
125. In custody 1432. Case number is 76007.
205 is down 30 minutes.
Communication, go ahead.
Medic 3, going out to facility code 1 with a 40-year-old female GCS 15. She complains of headache about an hour ago. 2410A referred to JP. Currently we have an IV on the right side with her current vitals. Temperature 114, blood pressure of 167 over 95, blood glucose of 271, SpO2 99, and a temperature of 99.3. We'll be here to facility in about 5 minutes.
2410A referred to JP office.
Charlie 230.
You caught up to 205?
Headache, no neurological deficits. 230, clear.
You're welcome, push up.
Level 2.
Okay, 10-4, thank you.
Showing's clear.
That's very quick.
Right. Going to be Alameda and DeForest.
12718 Channel 1296. 12718 Channel 1296. Contact Melissa. Northwest Spoken English Direct.
I'll be 10-4.
That's me, you know.
718 Channel 1296. Contact Melissa.
Yeah.
But 275, please trespasser 1507 7th Street, 150 7th Street. Happy to contact. That is 17, go ahead.
Hello, that's traffic.
What do you want to do, location?
10-4.
Unit 4, all about 10 for Harlan. 1507 7th Street, 1507 7th Street. Happy to contact.
What do you want to do, location?
3 is on parade.
667. Sam Young, Victor, 5667, from Ron and Brianna, 10-4.
142, I'm 10-8, report taken.
$184.
Go.
184.
Number 10, the...
The T20, clear highway.
506, 556, at 1420. No, got that.
We have 10
That's a 293. 10-4, and route to all route kind of the east one will Kobe 27754 and Kobe 27763.
3351.
Gang 25.
10 on campus.
Transfer to the island unit for that ranking call. Me and Rob.
Are you at that park or are you
We've got a call from
transient homeless meet the stairs at South Park. Also, she's got stuff from there in the park. I did want to check it out, please.
Okay, don't worry.
Yeah, 10-4. Ranking call. Me and Rob.
Thank you.
10-4, Southwood 230 clear.
1025. That's his bus stop. He doesn't want to leave, but it looks like he's leaving right now.
Alright, we coming from Center.
Over there, you.
Nice fellow horn here.
10-4.
Yeah, have a
215 location.
1515 Daytona.
Charlie 210 to go on here. 10-4, 1515 Daytona. Charlie 260 rep.
Twelve
405 location.
1515 Daytona.
10-4, 1515 Daytona.
Charlie 275, open clear 5-4.
275, clear 5-4, 10-4. 10-4 negative.
Gang 25 arrest.
Game 25, 10-4. That's clear 5-4, 10-4.
Gang 25 arrest.
Game 25, 10-4.
Game 25, copy, last foot.
10-4, go ahead.
Call Paul George, 5065.
10-4, Paul George 5065.
Good.
Clear 10-4.
Bill to 260, you moving on that they have not in progress in my beat.
Clear 10-4.
You can move me on that they have not in progress.
10-8. Adam 240 traffic.
So the 260 10-4, I'm in contact with Albert Police. He's advising a bro Bettis took his wallet yesterday.
Down clear.
634, 10-8 from that.
Please match medic 3.
34, 10-4.
Charlie 175 and runs to TC with the help. Starting mileage
125 at 1440.
No water, baby.
No, go ahead. Central Victor 8788. Wildcat in River Canyon, over. Medic 3, go ahead. 1202, sir.
Hello, take location. Hello, location 10-4.
Can you pull over CID?
8033 SPID.
10-4.
From 1007. Dispatch from Medic 91.
Medic 91, go ahead.
Detail.
Over. Over.
1330, 10-4. Area.
Thank you.
Charlie, GC, can you dispatch his green? He's going to be transferred to the doctors. It's going to be a simple.
Good morning, 803 SPID apartment 1017.
We're going to try the bar in the middle grade, too.
Charlie, G6, can you dispatch his green? He's going to be transferred to the doctors. It's going to be a simple.
Andrew Graham, Medic 8. Andrew Graham, Medic 8. Unconscious. Easy 8000 February 24 airs. 24 airs, crash it if people Alexander. Okay, game that's unfortunately.
It's Woodridge and Airline area, Woodridge and Run area.
911, radio check.
BFDRT is coming.
Location.
113 Gibson.
With Whitney Cantu.
Civil.
Location.
113 Gibson.
113 Gibson, for where?
Bravo 2 Islands.
One, two, and 3.
$123.
205, door 14, unsecured, now enclosed and armed.
Show me around to HQ.
10-4.
10-4.
709, sir. Yes, sir.
10-4.
Okay.
Okay, it'll be field release times 2. I'll send the Guardians 20 through email, but it'll return back through email. You can show me clear, and it'll be clear unless something goes unexpected.
Charlie 260, I'll be clear.
44.
Okay, it'll be field release times 2. I'll send the Guardians 27 through email, but it'll return back through email. You can show me clear, and it'll be clear unless
10-4.
something goes unexpected.
117.
EGC, X2, into door secure.
Dispatch 1023, radio check. 10-4.
10-4.
Have fun.
4-4.
17.
To be clear, run to Gloria Hicks for dismissal.
There were 5 and 3 was like walking scoop.
Okay. I'm going to another call. It's going to be suspicion of assault causing bodily injury. One party in the nurse's office, another party in the counselor's.
10-4.
Yeah, 25, switch info.
Sir.
That's your 60 case number.
10-4 about community.
Female, the CDC.
Okay. 1449.
Franklin Young, 3578, 58 West over destroyed. 10-4. Frank Henry Young, 3578, 58 West over destroyed. 10-4.
Gonna be at 200 Rut, Robert.
320 will be
in Tom here in Odom for a follow-up.
Tower 225. Dispatch or medic 7. 2435.
Okay, good.
People in SPD West, check out. That's one. No, bicycle.
Hey, go ahead and go to 2. Take 2 ready.
Code 1 doctors, big mile 0.
Total doctors beginning 0 received.
Bicycle.
Check 28, Sam Young Nora, 2276, Sam Young Nora, 2276. Attach that 28 to his call, please.
667, good, inside dentistry. 4169, 5852, I'll be working. Cold school zone. 634, Charlie. 4158, copy, 58 times 2 over the last. Correction, 4160 over the
634.
I'll be working the cold elementary school zone.
361 at East Beasley, Texas. Victor Frank Lincoln, 1841. Victor Frank Lincoln, 1841. It's going to be a cream-colored Toyota SUV.
634, Charlie.
To the point where she lost consciousness as other students and the girl's boyfriend tried to pull her away. According to court documents, the girl was also grabbing at investigators say the 17-year-old victim told investigators her father had been threatening her with an honor killing after she refused to go to another country for an arranged marriage to an older man. She went to her school for help, which then led to the confrontation outside.
His daughter
was on top of him. Josh Wagner was driving with his family near Timberline High School on October 18 when he noticed what he thought was a group of kids fighting. But as he jumped in to break up the fight, he realized it was a man choking a teenage girl.
It was pretty angering. I didn't know what was going on, why it was happening. All the kids were screaming, yelling.
Court records state Ihsan Ali was choking his 17-year-old daughter to the point where she had lost consciousness as other students and the girl's boyfriend tried to pull her away. According to court documents, the girl's mother, Zara Ali, was also grabbing at the girl and choking her. Investigators say the girl's father also punched her boyfriend.
He proceeded to, punch my son in the face.
Victor Barnes' son was one of the students trying to stop the confrontation and separate the girl from her parents. The girl eventually got away and ran into the school screaming, "My dad was trying to kill me," prompting a lockdown as staff blocked the girl's parents from getting to her. Barnes says
could you show me a call video of who's to CCPD? I didn't see what I had to get one to sit in my house until I was on the highway. I have a record that I can go ahead and get a case number for CTW, please. I'll just get ready whenever you're ready.
Check 2729. First name Nicholas. Last name spelled Adam Mary Victor. Robert Golden Lincoln Zebra. 728 63.
I have a rep here in the front, but if I can go ahead and get a case number for a CTW, please.
And we reached out to CCPD to see if they are investigating this case. We know that child welfare records are confidential. Court records, though, do state that the victim's school helped connect her with a safe place to stay. Reporting live in Lansing tonight, Lane Wynn, Co-News.
377281. 10-4, thank you. You can show me clear. The student's going to be okay for an office. She's suspended for today. She's going to be waiting on guardian.
With that, name and date of birth, 29, not coming back with a ID or DL. 10-4.
Thank you. You can show me clear. The student's going to be up here in the front office. She's suspended for today. She's going to be waiting on guardian.
10-4.
There you go ahead.
Clear offense report.
10-4.
Charlie, team, you coming to? Clear offense report. Here for 48, curbside. Weekly 4. I'm going to call you.
With 275, can you show me on that please? Hold up the line. 609 South Staples, 609 South Staples. I'm working with you today.
96 with a 9-4. I'm going to call you.
Go ahead. South Staples.
Alameda, Ohio. Victor, call com 1895. I'm working with Santa Fe.
Engineer, go ahead.
110, I'm going to be out of service around to 3530 Kalahar for fire presentation.
I'm moving over. With you.
Another 275. We're receiving another call from the location advising Hispanic male wearing a black shirt, sweatpants, attempting to get behind the counter, raising he's hitting himself in the head.
Sorry, Jesus, correct?
No, can you confirm?
G26, work for me.
Another 220, right now, 275, and code advice. There isn't the suspects outside now near the freezers.
Out at the intersection of Highway 361 and Avenue A, 361 Avenue A. Reporting possibly a Hispanic female was waving down vehicle. She believes it could be a domestic issue. One female wearing a crop top, black or a Hispanic male with a black shirt and a red fanny pack in hand. Female was waving down vehicles.
Delta 220. I guess can we 140 arrive? Charlie 125 mileage 8.8. I guess teachers at the side.
1458.
Charlie 1.
They started medics. I can know.
225 arriving 8.8. 1454. Location.
Williams at Rockfield. Paul Charles Frank 720.
I guess teachers at the side delirium and you have a medic around.
Charles 1454.
Still 10 location.
I'm going for a personal engineer at the Dollar General 609 South Staples.
358 West, St. Frequent on King Fall Yacht 3557.
172. I have up to 275 and go to 220. Go to another 290 off and start to that way.
Personal inside the near at the Dollar General
taking his shirt off and scratching himself. And then he's been pepper sprayed.
So, 260 copy 2 please. 260
I have up to 275 and go to 220.
1941.
Go to 290 off and start to that way. Giving us a hold alarm. And note stating that the male's banging his head on the wall, taking his shirt off and scratching himself. I don't know if he's been pepper sprayed.
49757.
Okay, down clear.
59. Go ahead, Nancy.
Versus 4 for 3.
We're going to be on the second floor, A side, conference room, admin search. We're got like 10 females. I do have one that with one THC and one nicotine.
I'm not to JJC, one juvenile, female, 204.
Second floor, 10 females, admin search.
Not to JJC, one juvenile, female, 204. Total and control line starting 0. 204, 1457.
Second floor, 10 females, admin search.
Affirmative.
Your line's clear.
JJC, call back, go to 1. Code 1, control line starting 0.
Commissioner 0, receipt.
Can you call back? How's our piece about?
Hello, that way also.
Thank you for answering.
One caller, correct.
On answering this message.
Yes,
sir, just one caller.
I didn't see anything.
142 Farmer.
Receipt.
10-4. $30-04. 3125 report. 304. Negative. Out at the bathroom bay, call SWAT.
Simpson Transit. 1005 in the dead end to westbound Marina started route inbound 312 westbound Marina.
Over.
Okay, so I'm going to make a service adjustment.
115 for the suicide test in progress, 5636 Willow Road, Circle K Mover in Montego. Contact Christina.
275, 10-4. 210-290, copy, I can show you out clear.
Sure, 230, clear. Okay. Circle K Mover in Montego. Oh, is that 31? Did you need an individual? To 265.
Okay. For a hemorrhage call, the ESC 1108.
To the female over the ring camera, she advised she's not on the middle left.
715, the male to location. As a mother kicked him out of the house. Posting next to you. The plan of action to send you wants to kill himself. T-shirt. What was the original cross street that you did?
2009.
412 here, sir.
Looks like the locations have been updated to 304 Pages Drive. 304 Pages.
304 Pages. Receive. Any copy? Yeah, received. Corridors into traffic. 7. Base, Route 6, 1044. Charles, 209. I say Route 6, 1044.
Frank Sam Young, 14.
Alright, return tape, leave out there.
Frank Simeon 1409, Woodridge Summer on 10-4.
159.
159. April.
Sure, that's close. First place.
634, go ahead.
10-4.
traffic.
4, go ahead.
10-4.
2725 at County Road 4714. It's going to be Texas Victor George Lincoln 8998. Victor George Lincoln 8998. It's going to be an orange Ford SUV.
10-4.
It's going to be 361 across from the Texan with Texas plate. Tom, Mary Victor 1835. Tom, Mary Victor 1835. Could be at White Silverado. 33.
10-1.
633.
241 en route to San Antonio for hospital duty.
Mary Victor 1835. Tom, Mary Victor 1835. Could be at White Silverado.
Units copy for hazardous drivers, 6301 I-37 access at Rio Jalisco, Los Altos. It's going to be for red Ford F-150. Looks like they're falling asleep in the vehicle. License plate 357, Charles Robert Zebra, 357, Charles Robert Zebra. Overblocking, pulling into the location, patrol 1 at Lucianos.
He's stopping now. They're going to admin handle it. Can I have the event number only? 10-4, I have a call, sir. Service 7326, Hollow Drive, 7326, Hollow. There's an animal fishes. RTA is going to be mentioned. Phone number 361 549 5606. Imagine that is a dog dog and another dog keep coming towards people, walking constantly, getting closer, has not been anybody, it's going to be aggressive, it's going to be the neighbor's dog, 2 houses down, to the left.
10-4 pieces restored, event number only 0027. 10-4, can you spell the street name?
10-4, street name, Elm Hollow, Henry Lincoln Mary, space, Hollow, Henry Ocean, Lincoln Ocean, William.
Delta 10, clear traffic.
10-4, please not need a supervisor. Traffic.
3 Charles 250, 10-4.
Go ahead.
2860
78 2860 from maximum window. White man.
184.
Route 18 to dispatch. Can you get a private on 3027? Okay, go ahead.
16 to base, can I get a private with a supervisor on 3024?
Another 150, another 150, another 190, another 210, another 290, climb active shooter, shoreline.
Tarkwa Street, apartment 2113.
Show me clear events card at 9G.
1304.
Another 150, another 150, another 190, another 210, another 290, climb active shooter, shoreline, shooter, Elizabeth, public support track 59.
Unconfirmed. 27 Silverado. Corpus clear. Eligible.
Battalion 1, Battalion 3, engine 305 with 1 night 12, especially 31, active shooter, EMP 27 at 210, pressure to ocean and third, 280, safe, clear, across 07 to 10.
1103, if you can clear us, put us on an active shooter as well.
900 William. Dr.
John Paul, 704669 away.
We're coming to a wild with a 27-year-old male. Patient treated against pepper spray about 20 minutes ago. Vitals are 1 blood pressure 125 value 96% on the mirror, 109 heart rate. Patient's aim time 14:15 will be in there. I'm here at 6102 Harris, and everyone get back on.
Hurry on call 54. Question, hurry on call 7547.
I said I'm here at 6102 Harris. I picked up a friend of glass when I got off to get friendly. Mason walks out the doors, walks off the bus, and he does not want to get back on.
Okay, everything looks pretty cool here.
Correction, hurry on call 7547.
Engine coming unit. We're going to be on scene. We're going to set up a staging area here behind the sites. Third and all units respond to this location. We'll dispatch from here.
You swearing? On your bed floor?
We got 6 copies.
Okay, now we're going to be there. 6'4". 6'11". 6'11".
Wait.
I'm teaching Navy.
Let us know we can go behind brush. .634, checking status.
Can you listen up to the 611 We're receiving another call from the show. Yes, I'm going to 611. Heard 4 shots.
Yes, sir.
634. Can you get right on the third floor first, and then we received another call from the same caller. This corner, and we're on 611.
Okay. Is James available, or is he just here up there?
There is a one headline. It is search and only here incomplete. There's nothing else right now. The same caller, 6'4", room 611.
Yeah, the other calls?
We're getting another caller. There's the same phone number, the same caller. On the 6'11 team, there's somebody heard 4 shots. There is a one local unit that's on scene right now. Just seeing that everything looks calm right now. Going
You can apply to dispatch. You do that out and about. She didn't pick up
642.
You know, when you go up and meet in the morning.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. 12718.
Yeah, well, go my 6 and 10-4. On this ship.
10-4. And was he picked up there from Roundabout?
Rescue 02.
No, the person that got off the bus was picked up from the James Industries.
Rescue 3.
We're good.
We're at the back side of the stripes across the street with engine 3. There's a Lowe's on the front side. Proceed, I'm going to the ER.
You got the name? Including, have you seen something?
Copy what you said, though.
Delta 220, okay, 611's clear. We're good. Warning call.
10-4. Delta 2. And 2900 Control 2.
Okay, 30. I spoke with Manny. He said to stand by him.
He doesn't want to get back on. He said he doesn't want to keep them for years. We are showing previous to room there to be a spotting call.
Servants in there. The city PD was here earlier. Anything on that?
Yeah, I understand that. I explained everything to Manny. He said to say to stand by.
So I think I'm more to advise that they're showing previous history with that phone number, the RPs of the history.
Okay.
I'm right here.
Okay, Mom, she said she just got working here. He's going to go with her.
Everything else is pretty calm now.
He's on fire. You know, you just copy, you can slow down.
Okay, he's going with his mom.
All units responding to him.
That's a 4. Station number 79.
Stopped by a homeless camp at pool 233 on the beach. Subjects had a dog that was not doing so well. As far as possible neglect, I have animal control from this kind of way to that location.
I gotta make a new trip. I have to drop off this roundabout.
Rush is full. Rush is full.
Customer 1391, High 1391 for breathing problem, EMC 1391 at 838 Corpus. Incident question enforcement on life lane, work off by dispatcher 9.
642, go ahead.
That you can claim a
1918 between 19, 18, 98,
10-4.
Right now, everything is as expensive as hell. Gas prices are through the roof. Folks be losing their houses all because they can't pay their rent. Bills are overdue and debt be piling up. 5 bands from Uncle Sam is life-changing money right now for anybody. The reason they be giving this out to folks right now is because of that new bill they got going on called the Inflation Reduction Act. It's like those stimulus checks, but you gotta pay back a dime.
5102 to base, can you private? On 3065.
What is your excuse
No,
for They only ask you like 2 questions.
Can y'all ping that phone number and your location?
Make sure you straight and answer any questions. They real helpful. It's finally our time to get this done and get what's ours instead of everything. Y'all stop being dummies, man. I know y'all card and they got it. Sure, I was a little skeptical too. I ain't gonna lie, I thought it was Cap when I first seen it. When I saw it was from Uncle Sam, I knew I didn't have a thing to lose. Ain't like the government can scam me, so I knew it had to be me. I went and applied for it easy as hell. Didn't need no paperwork or nothing. And it only took like 24 hours to get my spending card with 5 days loaded on it. And let me tell y'all something since I've been taking my mom's out nails did and everything. I used to take my flags last weekend for the first time. So you better click that link below if you want help too from Uncle Sam. But if you're going to carry on ignoring it and complaining with everybody else that their 5 spending cards, it's too late for you to get yours because they all been claimed. These spending cards ain't going to be around forever. This stuff is first come, first serve. Y'all crazy as hell if you think you can just ignore it and come back to them 5 bands later on. Y'all got to act now while you can or you going to regret it. I claimed mine a while ago, so they probably giving folks their last few cards by now. Click the link below and go get your money. Don't let the migrants be getting treated like royalty while you out here struggling, man. You deserve this.
Hey, Shirley, clear. 10-4, thank you. Yeah, we're clear. Charlie 230, Order 717 SPLD.
Bringing all your gear.
918 to dispatch for an individual, please.
Meet Electric Adventure. Meet Rivian.
Charlie 230, Charlie 260 for trespassing to Best Buy. Order 717 SPID Eastbound. Repeat plan contact.
642 to 8. You're out of school.
Regards to her missing children, we officers go out there magazine P36.
Jay, you're out of school.
642.
Charlie 260, the other call,
219-2279, repeating 361,
219. Advisor HR McMaster said on Bill Maher's
this morning, or this afternoon around 224,
by multiple
the missing children are adults
inexplicable
who
by the
don't
science
want any contact
available
with
to
her.
us. Army Colonel Carl Now.
It's possibility it doesn't specify. There's no description of the subject on the specific vehicle.
That non-human intelligence has been interacting with humanity.
Yeah, all of us are well together. We're heading down there.
It's been ongoing, and they're unelected people in the government that are aware.
right now.
But UAPs remain a controversial topic. I'm not going to name names, but there are certain individuals who didn't want this hearing to happen because they feared what might be disclosed. But we stood firm. No one will ever keep me from pursuing a subject to ground
come hell or high water.
It's 1001 Ruben. Charlie.
For being here.
Individuals
in the military, in civilian government, in science, and in journalism. Some of the testimony you will hear them deliver today does not reflect well on influential individuals and agencies within the U.S. federal government and perhaps some of our contractors. It's never easy to present such information publicly. So I appreciate our witnesses volunteering to learn the extent of the programs and activities our government has engaged in with respect to and what knowledge has yielded. This includes, of course, any knowledge of extraterrestrial life or technology. If government-funded research on UAPs has not yielded any useful knowledge. We also need to know those facts.
Fire Department 991, 26 Natural Door, EMP 13 grams, 302 grams, and we want to medical
their enormous funded budgets, the transparency of the and the intelligence community have long been consecutive audits. It's never actually runaway overclassification of documents and materials, the reluctance to declassify materials when appropriate, and at times an outright refusal to share critical information with Congress. In short, the Congress also from their elected representatives. Part of the transparency legislation in the all remain Anomaly Investigation Office, or ARROW, but the new office is struggling to get its footing. A recent statutorily required intended to eliminate the government's historic assessment of UAPs was heavily criticized by those seeking or perhaps unwilling to bring forward the truth about the government's activities concerning UAPs. I am disturbed that ARROW itself lacks transparency. Even its budget is kept from the public. So if there is no there, then why are we spending money on it, and by how much? Why the secrecy? It's no big deal, and there's nothing there. Why hide it from the American people? I'm not a mathematician, but I can tell you it doesn't matter. I expect some of our witnesses to share their views on the report. We will also hear from the witnesses today allegations of UAP-related misinformation and disinformation by government officials. And we will hear today concerning recent revelations about a secret UAP program whose existence and findings may have been improperly withheld from Congress. From our colleagues. And one thing I wanted to add at the end of my closing statement is there is a document that will be entered into the congressional record today. The shoreline is going to be this document and it to every member up to Congress. This is a document from the Pentagon about Immaculate Constellation that Michael Schellenberg delivered to Congress. So thank you for unacknowledged.
Oh yeah, I want to know what year
the government says.
Ocean and Doddridge, George Mary Robert 9541.
So with that, I would acknowledge George Mary Robert 9541. Garcia, and to all of our colleagues, we wish our very best to you and a full and speedy recovery.
Thank you.
Acknowledge Mr. Garcia for 5 minutes.
Call for Medic 1 for trauma, ESP 9015. 4650 Old Brownsville at the Buena Vida Senior Living. Alpha, Go Brownsville, and Omaha. Tree Department number 201, show you working Alpha Fire Dispatch 1520.
Lastly, wearing a white shirt and basketball shirt.
Medical 1 for trauma, ESC 9015. City 4650 Old Brownsville at the Buena Vida Senior Living. Alpha, Old Brownsville, and Omaha. City Department number 201, show you working Alpha Fire Dispatch 1520.
Pepper spicy cheese blend and crispy cupped pepperoni on an always golden crust. Try the whole fiery flavors menu for a limited time.
Thank you
very much.
Metro Union 468, Union and Lacion Ocean.
Both for their
Drive for substance
this discussion and these hearings are bipartisan. I think it's very important for all of us. The conversation around UAPs is that this is an area that both Republicans and Democrats, and where we may disagree in a lot of other spaces,
the SO picked them up. She brought a bunch of goats and turned them loose. No fencing. They're always in their roadway in the morning.
So I'm going to drop them off halfway because I got
so we're here to have a bipartisan conversation, I believe, about national security. We should always ground the conversations in facts.
I said, I know you're not going to work. You're right behind me. I want to connect to that contact. When you're gone, you do your income tax.
And also amongst the folks that also serve us in our military. And I know that for many of you, this has been a difficult process. Thank you for taking it. I also want to note that today's hearing builds on a quite, I think, also historic public hearing that we had many months ago that Mr. Grothman and others helped lead in this very same hearing room, where I believe we began a really important public conversation about UAPs. And so I want to thank him for that, and I especially want to thank Chairwoman Mays for her continued advocacy on this topic. I also want to start out with some facts. We know that there are objects or phenomena observed in our airspace, as your witnesses will testify, and also possibly in our oceans. In many cases, we don't know what they are, and this is, of course, why we're discussing. Now, the All-American Resolution Office, ARROW, has reported hundreds of UAPs that remain, quote, unauthorized and unidentified, and which, quote,
July 2025. 2018 Chevy 4-door, white in color. $1 no 21 confirmed. 27 comes back to Lancers, Portland, eligible for FE expires 2025, no 29.
This is about the truth and science.
Chevy 4-door, white
now, transparency and faith in our institutions is vital in a good democracy. Now, I'm proud to say this hearing will build on that important bipartisan work, and I want to thank you, including members of our committee. Now, in the last hearing in July, we heard testimony that major airlines have witnessed UAPs as well, but have no real confidential way. We heard that commercial pilots who encounter UAPs may be hesitant to speak openly due to stigma or fear of retaliation. We also know that ARROW has reported that, and I want to quote, that most reports still of reporting military personnel and sensors present in these areas. The lack of ability for civilian pilots raises real safety concerns and limits our ability to understand UAPs. This is a particular piece of this conversation I am very interested in. Our last hearing started joined by Chairwoman Mace and a bipartisan group of sponsors. I see some of our leaders from Safe Airspace for Americans Act here, and that would create a safe reporting for UAP process, which we want to continue to do. Now, members of both parties and senior officials in administrations have now taken an interest in this issue. Mainstream media, in many cases, interest in this issue, and we should all be proud to carry that work and build confidence for the American people. I believe we can always be more transparent. To me, this hearing and others are simply about the truth and getting to the facts of what these UAPs actually are. It's very important that we show that Democrats and Republicans in Congress can work together to cut through misinformation and look for a serious and thoughtful way to have the discussion in public. Many of us have also called for additional public hearings to discuss UAPs. This should be a topic that continues on throughout the Congress, so we can gather more information, data, and work with the relevant agencies to gather more information. Finally, just want to add that those that are here on this dais, many of us have participated also in classified briefings as well, and we have also gained a lot of important interesting information, at least I personally. So with that information, we want to continue today's hearing, and I thank all of our witnesses for being here, and with that, I'd like to yield back.
Return to 2010 Dodge, red in color, it's a rolling Versa at 2517 Goliath, this city.
Is there going to be anything?
My
kids don't know what they want. You know who
knows
knows
what
what you want?
Probation.
Power. We get all of our
Got a phone call advising Jessica Torres is there, and they think she has something on her.
I'd like to recognize Mr. Grossman for a 5-minute
It looks like it was late 50s, early 60s, white male.
Good morning. I'd like to thank our witnesses for being here one more time. A topic I've been interested in since 8th grade. I'd like to thank Stace for working on this topic and for making this a joint subcommittee hearing. Last year, the Subcommittee on National Security, the Border and Foreign Affairs here held an historic hearing to understand the potential national security risk of unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAPs. We heard from former Navy Commander David Fravor, who shared firsthand experience with a UAP. He engaged
Former
member of the intelligence community revealed
we have an Admiral Vicious call at 7326 Elm Hollow. I'm looking to the Rising PD meter. Is it 1040 cancel?
Ryan Graves informed us of the limited ways in which the military and commercial pilots can report UAP sightings. Since that last hearings, I've led several briefings with government agencies to deepen my understanding with these issues. First, the Department of Defense does not have a streamlined process for service members to report UAP activity. Since then, the Joint Chiefs have implemented standards for UAP reporting across the services. The Intelligence Community Inspector General informed us that whistleblowers often fear retaliation and management of highly sensitive government projects or information. Finally, AARO has expressed to the committee that, like any other federal government agency, it's faced challenges in its establishment, specifically in hiring staff to manage UAP historical records and coordinating with other federal agencies. Well, these agencies have been helpful to us in understanding the challenges that come from collecting UAP data. Made it this year. Despite our committee members endlessly questioning these agencies inside and outside of a skiff. I hope our witnesses today will be able to provide evidence and content that is worthwhile to our pursuits of help alleviate some of the measures that were included in last year's National Defense Authorization Act, increased transparency and record-keeping measures when it comes to UAPs. But I believe there's still more to go. Ranking Member Garcia required procedures to collect UAP data from civilians.
We're going to make our way west from here.
I look forward to working with members of Congress to see that this legislation of the massive drone swarm that flew over Langley Air Force Base in Virginia last December. Langley is the home of the first fighter wing of the F-22s in the U.S. Air Force inventory. Reports of this flying more than 100 miles an hour at an altitude of over 2,000 feet. Yet the origin of these drones and their operators remains a mystery. Highlights the complexity of UAP intelligence, defense, and homeland security committees. Whether these phenomena are the result of foreign advocates, technologies, or something else entirely, we must take them seriously, investigate them thoroughly, and assess their implications on national defense. The repeated UAP sightings around sensitive military sites underscores the need for innovative defensive strategies beyond traditional measures. They also highlight the urgent need for updated policies to address threats as well as more effective interagency cooperation and intelligence sharing. However, none of this is going to be possible without transparency. For far too long, critical information was either classified or ignored, leaving the American public in teeth. Declassifying reports and fostering a more open dialogue about UAPs will not only increase public trust, but also encourage collaboration between government, the scientific community, and our allies. Quite frankly, there's been things that have been kept secret.
Sam 01, 41-year-old female, conscious, not breathing.
That there is no reason it shouldn't be released, regardless of any so-called, you know,
the Valhalla apartment, permit Sam 01,
Ocean and Mitchell on Tom George, 2464.
Scientific research and upholding the trust of Ocean Drive trust. It's just obvious. Especially when discussing matters with the witnesses testimony and come out of this hearing with actionable ideas to advance UAP transparency. Actually, the
Thank you. I'll now recognize Mr. Moskowitz for a 5-minute introduction.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Good morning, everyone. I first want to thank the chairs and ranking members for holding the hearing today on this topic, and again having a second hearing. For the expertise on UAPs and first, I want to but it's really only because our dear friend Jerry Connolly is not here, as he was diagnosed with esophageal cancer. Praying for him and hoping for his speedy recovery. So today, I was pleased, as I know all of us are, on the bipartisan hearing, and he was talking about what happened in classified settings, the bipartisanship that existed in those settings with the question of last year's hearing was a great example of open dialogue about UAPs, and I think we see that commitment based on the people here and the commitment across the political spectrum. I personally have worked with multiple members of this committee, but
Illinois 98103
Congressman Burchett, Mace, Luna, and Christi working on bipartisan pieces of legislation steps towards greater transparency and office to identify flying objects, following the report on UAP sites characterized with some of these appearing to have demonstrated unusual or performance capability. That's a nice way of saying we don't want to tell you what they are. In March, ARROW revealed a report on the historical record of U.S. government involvement in UAPs, which covered
Door 1081 SIS baggage claims house. It's going to be Ryan Tarzola with Martin Plumbing.
Congressman Burchett to introduce the
July 2025.
documents with UAPs with many members of this committee. In fiscal year 2024, the NDA required
Door 1081 SIS baggage claims house. It's going to be Ryan Tarzola with Martin Plumbing.
publicly disclosed. this commitment is in transparency on important and unnecessary
eligible class
C
expires 20.
which allows theories over the decades to fall. When the American people and members of Congress asked, are reports of UAPs credible?
Can you give me a signal for the junior high and Atlantic case number?
I can't tell you. And in fact,
The
we're met
block of
with
East San Patricio Avenue.
people not wanting us to have hearings. We're met with people not wanting us to ask you questions.
Texas 2,
In
Charles
fact, many of us
07.
were told not to ask some of you
Excuse me,
in a time of heightened
the cab's going to be an international. It's out of Indiana also. 3399181. 3399181.
And obviously we can
Ryan Sosa with Martian Plumbing, as is after 22825.
It's part of this government agencies must maintain open lines of
Ryan
communication
Sosa with
with
Martian
members
Plumbing,
of Congress.
as is
And there are what are UAPs? Are they real? Are they ours? How has this technology been developed? How do they get funded? Right? And now we've seen, this has gone from a long time ago where you could discredit people because it's some guy living in a Winnebago. You're able to see people now, these are pilots, these are military, these are folks with serious backgrounds. This has changed the face of this because now we have video. People have questions. We know there are advanced technology programs. Almost 15 years ago, one of those came out of Area 51 to go after Osama bin Laden. And the only reason we know about that is because one of those helicopters was downed. Americans have questions about whistleblowers. Talk about retribution. And so I want to thank everyone for being involved today on trying to get more transparency. This has been bipartisan, bicameral, and as we get into a new administration, the president-elect has talked about opportunities to declassify information on UAPs, and I hope he lives up to that promise. And with that, I yield back.
What is versatility without power? What are features without performance? It's not enough to be on the job site. You have to run it. That's why our newest compacts are our most powerful yet. So you can use over 100 attachments to shred obstacles, carve your own path, and dig deep when the punch list is long and days are short. Because even when you're at the top of your game, you can still make a name for yourself. Never idle.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moskowitz, and I would now, have asked me to go ahead and enter into the congressional record this 12-page document that Michael Schellenberger brought today that describes the Immaculate Constellation Government Program, so we will do that now. There's a copy of it. The first section talks about the unacknowledged special access program called Immaculate Constellation, and then the second section about intelligence, and Representative Luna just told me if I say Immaculate Constellation, I'll be on some list. Maybe a FISA warrant, so come at me. Without objection, entered in the record. So next we will introduce our witnesses for today's hearing. Thank you so much for being here. Our first witness is retired Reverend Tim Gallaudet, who retired from the U.S. Navy and is now the Chief Executive Officer at Ocean STL Consulting. Our second witness is Mr. Lou Elizondo, a former Department of Defense official and author of a recent bestseller book about UAPs. Our third witness is Mr. Michael Schellenberger, founder of the News Republic, and author of a recent journalistic piece about special access programs, including one widely identified as Immaculate Constellation. I swear the staff wants me on a list.
3667.
Okay. And our last witness today is Mr. Michael Gold, a former NASA official who is also a member of the NASA UAP Independent Study Team. Welcome, everyone. We are pleased to have you today. Pursuant to Committee Rule 9, you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Let the record show that the witnesses all answered in the affirmative. We appreciate all of you being here today and look forward to your testimony. Witnesses will be a read your written statements and as may be seated. Please limit your oral statements to 5 minutes.
642,
press the button in front of you.
Alabama on the Robert Lynch trip.
So that everyone in the when the red light comes on, and we would ask that you please wrap it up. So I will first recognize Admiral Gallaudet to please begin your opening
Alabama on the Robert Lynch trip.
Thank you, Chairwoman Mace, Chairman
Deal
Buckley,
expires 119,
Garcia, and members of the
Turned on, I just pulled over to the site, Natcherson and
UAP. Confirmation that UAPs are real came to me in January of 2015 when I was serving as the
I think
commander of the Navy
that the male resident in Unit B boy
my personnel were participating in a pre-deployment naval exercise off the U.S. East Coast.
Hispanic male,
It included the U.S.
with light hair, black suburban, for the children that live there at the location with the RP, male.
Exercise, I received an email, the Navy's secure network from the operations office of the U.S. The email was addressed to all the subordinate commanders, and the subject line read in all capitals, safety of flight issue. The text of the email was brief but alarming, with words to the effect, "If any of you know what these are, tell me ASAP. We are having multiple near mid-air collisions, and if we do not resolve this soon, we are going to have to shut down the exercise." Attached to the email was what is now known as the low-fast video. An infrared sensor of one of the Navy F-A-18 aircraft participating in the exercise. The now declassified video showed an unidentified object with structural characteristics unlike anything in our arsenal. The implication of the email was clear. The author was asking whether any of the recipients were aware of classified technology demonstrated that could explain these objects. Such demonstrations with live exercises, the very next day, disappeared from my account and those of the other recipients without an explanation. Moreover, the corner of the operation actually never discussed the subject. Even during weekly meetings specifically designed to address issues affecting exercises like the one in which the Theodore Roosevelt Strike Group was participating. This lack of follow-up was very concerning to me. As the Navy's chief meteorologist at the time, I was responsible for reducing safety of flight risks. Yet it appeared to me that no one at the flag officer level was addressing the safety risk posed by UAPs. Instead, pilots were left to mitigate these threats on their own without guidance or support. I concluded that the UAP information must be classified within a special access program managed by an intelligence agency. That is a compartmented program that senior officials, including myself, are not read into. Last year, this oversight members of Congress. Just this week, I learned from former DOD official Chris Mellon that satellite imagery of UAP from a few years ago still has not been shared with Congress. Equally concerning, last year's UAP hearing also revealed that elements of the government are engaged in a disinformation campaign to include personal attacks designed to discredit UAP whistleblowers. I signed a non-disclosure agreement regarding UAPs, and now as a private citizen, I've become an advocate for transparency from the government. The continued overclassification surrounding UAPs has not only hindered our ability to effectively address these phenomena, but has also eroded trust in our institutions. While I applaud previous bipartisan legislation passed by Congress concerning UAPs, a more comprehensive approach is needed to address the application of UAP on public safety and national security, as well as the socioeconomic opportunities that open UAP research could unlock. Therefore, I recommend Congress take the following action, which I believe will receive bipartisan support. First, establish robust oversight of the executive branch's management of UAP information by directing key officials, beginning with the director of the DoD's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, to provide comprehensive briefings on what the government knows about UAP and does not know. 2. Enact the provisions of the UAP Disclosure Act that establish a UAP Records Review Board to ensure independent oversight, transparency, and accountability in the government's handling of UAP information. And 3, strengthen the UAP Disclosure Act with future reauthorizations with provisions that mandate a whole government approach to addressing UAP.
Yes, go ahead.
In closing, I will share my personal reasons for speaking out on this topic. First, as a former science agency leader, having led the Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, I've always sought the truth of human knowledge and
now subject to Rico's father, that came and spoke to them, but now she made contact with that male, and he said that he's never met her, but she's not too sure where her daughter is.
Additionally,
they live here at that Cornelia address. She advised that her daughter was picked up.
to show more leadership on this issue of disclosure by validating the credibility of the courageous men and women
But now she made contact with that male, and he
speaking out has encouraged others to do the same, and it's my hope over time that a number of your constituents will want to know the truth and about UAP, and this number will increase to such an extent that the congressional action I've just recommended will become inevitable. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you. I will now recognize Mr. Elizondo.
Chairman Grothman, members of the committee. It is my honor and privilege to testify before you on the issue of unidentified anomalous phenomenon, formerly known as UFOs. On behalf of our brave men and women in uniform across the community, as well as my fellow Americans who have awaited this matter. Let me be clear. UAP are real. Advanced technologies not made by our government or any other government are monitoring sensitive military installations around the globe. Furthermore, the U.S. is in possession of UAP technologies, as are some of our adversaries. I believe we are in the midst of a multi-decade secretive arms race, one funded by misallocated taxpayer dollars from our elected representatives and for many As such, I appreciate the need to protect certain sensitive intelligence and military information. I consider sacred, and I will always put the safety of the American people first. With that said, I also understand the consequences of excessive secrecy and stovepipe than in the aftermath of 9/11, which many of us remember all too well. I believe that America's greatness depends on 3 elements. A watchful Congress, B, a responsive executive branch, and C, an informed public. Over the last decade, I learned that without any of these elements. Although much of my government work on the UAP subject still remains classified, excessive secrecy has led to grave misdeeds against loyal civil servants, military personnel, and the public, all to hide the fact that we are not alone in the cosmos. A small cadre within our own government involved in the UAP topic has created a culture of suppression and intimidation that I've personally been along with many of my former colleagues. This includes
Gregory, Texas, Noel, Robert Young, 3731. Noel, Robert Young, 3731. Black Chevy SUV.
Public Affairs Office openly employs a professional psychological operations officer point of contact for any UAP-related inquiries from citizens and the media. This is unacceptable. Many of my former colleagues and I have provided classified testimony to both the RTA received a text from her ex-boyfriend inviting a 16-year-old daughter's boyfriend to have female within 9 after school. This is not to be updated, and this is wrong. To fix these problems, I propose 3 principal actions. First, Congress and the President
RP received a text from her ex-boyfriend inviting a 16-year-old daughter's boyfriend to have a female within 9 at the school.
Play a role, but no one seems to be in charge.
Supposed to be updated.
To unchecked power and corruption. Second, we need a This strategy should include a government approach, including academic
giving him a call. I'm not too sure if they're
and our international partners and allies. Third, Congress should create a protected environment so whistleblowers desperate to do the right thing come forward without fear. As it currently stands, these whistleblowers suffer because of stigma, a code of silence, and concerns about retaliation. These whistleblowers should be encouraged to come forward
I'm not
and
too sure if they're
any forms of retaliation.
-79.
To the members of this committee. In closing, we as Americans have never been afraid of challenge. In fact, we thrive. Whether it's eradicating polio or going to the moon, we don't run from a challenge, we take it head on. To the incoming administration and Congress, I say to you, we need is an important step on that journey. If we approach the UAP topic as Americans, we can restore our faith in our government usher in a new era of accountable government and scientific discovery. I believe that we as Americans can handle the truth, and I also believe the world deserves the truth. Thank you, esteemed members of Congress, for your time today. It is profoundly appreciated by many.
Thank you. I ask unanimous consent for Representatives Ogles of Tennessee and Boebert of Colorado to be waived onto the subcommittee for today's joint subcommittee hearing for the purpose of asking questions. Without objection, so ordered. I would now like to recognize
Do we have any available
Thank
you for inviting my there is a growing body of evidence that the U.S. government phenomena, and that elements within the military and the IC are in violation of their constitutional duty to notify Congress of their operations. President-elect Donald Trump and former President Barack Obama have both said that the government has information about UAPs that has not been released. That they represent a new form of life or non-human life. Current dominant alternative theories, including those put forward by Arrow, are that UAPs are some kind of natural phenomenon that we understand, like our lightning plasma. They could also be part of some new U.S. or foreign government weapons programs, such as drones, aircraft, balloons, CGI, databases have evidence of this person has written a report that says he has managed UAP and HI issues without congressional knowledge, oversight, or authorization for some time, quite possibly years. Furthermore, these individuals have revealed the name of an active and highly secretive DoD knowledge program for USAP. The source of that document said publicly that the USAP is a strategic intelligence program that is part of the U.S. military family of long-standing, highly sensitive programs for various aspects of the UAP problem. The new UAP database includes videos and images taken using infrared, forward-looking infrared, full-motion video, and still photography. The report that was just shared with Congress says Immaculate Constellation serves as a central or parent USAP that consolidates observations of UAPs by both tasked and untasked collection platforms. High-quality imagery intelligence and measurement of UAPs, the whistleblower's report adds. The sources of this intelligence are a blend of directed and incidental collection capacities, capabilities, positioned in low Earth orbit, the upper atmosphere, as well as military and civilian aviation altitudes. The report to Congress details in detail various UAPs, including spheres, orbs, discs, saucers, ovals, triangles, boomerang, arrowheads, and organic. The report describes various incidents found in the Human Intelligence Database. One involved orbs surrounding and forcing an F-22 out of its control area. In another incident, the crew of a Navy aircraft carrier watched a small orange-red sphere at a high altitude of 100 yards above the CVN aircraft. And since my reporting on this Immaculate Constellation last month, month, joined by another
he says that he has to leave for San Antonio, so he took off, but he wants to initially check the area for the tires, saying that they're all dead, and then for the roof light top, RT saying that there's a group of kids on the shoulder, saying that they're all dead except for one that's injured.
Increasingly denying his responsibilities for UAP information. He has been doing
this is the last time I put on the fucking call. Can you do a runaway and I get from
the DoD organization Arrow has been labeling many documents
all
of the
public
B7,
service was
including
reported green.
that
There's an incident that happened at around 2
They're
o'clock.
stating that anything Arrow does is involved in law enforcement investigation, which allows Arrow to not release. Meanwhile, DoD has denied the existence of related records on the applications, only to involve the application was filed. He added that the neighborhood began in March 2022, and no additional UAP videos have three and only other questions filed by the Black Vault that's John Green. Seek out more places. In 2022, the neighborhood admitted that the UAP videos and photographs existed, but denied the request in full for their release, saying that the requested videos contain sensitive information that are classified for disclosure. The DoD will deny things on a Monday and then admit to it on a Friday, said Greenwald. He said the government can and does release videos that protect secret methods of capturing it. They fall back on the sensitive platform excuse a lot, he said. However, the on-screen information can be blurred and scrubbed. The metadata can be removed. I'll show you this example presentation from the UATP task force. This is completely absurd. It's nuts.
Does anybody know if we're going to the water edge department here at Bravo?
It shows the redaction of how many reports they've collected, for how many years. 2 of the 3 potential explanations are blacked out. The Pentagon, intelligence community, it's time for us to know the truth about this. I think that we can handle it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I would now like to recognize Mr. Gold for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairwoman Mace, Chairman Groffman, Ranking Members Connolly and Garcia, Representative Moskowitz, and distinguished members of both subcommittees. I'm grateful to all of you, as well as your intrepid staff, for the opportunity to testify, and would like to begin by discussing courage.
617, go ahead.
Last
name Garcia. First name Bonnie. Marie.
Officer.
It will be 131-131-83.
That being said, I want to be clear that I am here today to speak out for science.
First name Bonnie.
This requires data.
Middle name Marie.
Prejudice.
Date of birth will be 131-83.
Those who wish to explore the phenomenon are often confronted with resistance and ridicule. For example, members of the NASA UAP Independent Study Team, particularly those in academia, were mocked. But we cannot continue our inquiry that just daring to be part of the NASA the NASA brand is I've never seen anyone wearing an Office of Personnel Management t-shirt. Which is why NASA will play such an influential role. participate in existing committees examining the topic. NASA personnel stepping forward and participating in such discussions would make a powerful statement that scientific UAP
on the porch
and research
after the
in regard to archives, data. Again, NASA could create AI or ML that could search the agency's archives for anomalous data. I suspect that such an effort would not only result in information that will help us to understand such as anomalous weather or meteorite.
The RP advisor are going to be outside by the wood stacks and trash can.
For civilian and commercial UAP data. During my work on the UAP independent study team, it quickly became evident that there is no clear or well-publicized process for civilian pilots to report UAP sightings. The stigma associated with UAP hampers the number of pilots that report such phenomena, but even for those who overcome the stigma, I believe the current FAA guidance is largely unknown and poorly understood. In order to effectively collect UAP data, the independent study team recommended the use of NASA's Aviation Safety Reporting System, or ASRS. This system, which is administered by NASA and funded by the FAA, provides a confidential means for the reporting of safety violations in a voluntary manner. Over 47 years, the ASRS has collected nearly 2 million reports. ASRS is a specific tool to collect data, which could then be collated by NASA and shared with the public at large. Leveraging ASRS could create a treasure trove of UAP data, potentially hundreds of thousands of reports, supporting this hearing's goal of exposing the truth. And I'm grateful to our co-chairs and other members who have already...
And the company contacted Stephanie, who's going to be there at the location for a storage unit that was open into a lawnmower, and it will take in explosive pilots.
However, I would urge the subcommittees to keep in mind the numerous ways that NASA and the FAA, as well as commercial activities in the air, in space, and in the water, can generate a massive amount of invaluable data on anomalous phenomena. I cannot help but be excited by the potential for such an endeavor. Is driven by it's the existence and study of anomalies that led to the theory of relativity, quantum mechanics, and nearly all of humanity's scientific breakthroughs. This is why the study of UAPs should be embraced, since whatever is occurring, the chance to garner new knowledge should never be ignored. We must be thorough in collecting information, fearless in making conclusions, and open to following the data, no matter how mundane.
Yes, we're coming to you with a 46-year-old male called in for a broken foot. He dropped the drawer on his foot. We got there to be some
that sentiment.
As the saying goes, covered it up, no pain upon palpation.
We just need
some edema from past diabetic issues.
To face it.
We have. He is ANO times 4.
I will now recognize myself for 5 minutes of questioning. I have a lot of questions, and I have a lot of witnesses, so I would just ask if it's yes or no, please just tell me yes or no. If it requires more than that, be very succinct, because I would like to go down the line and ask as many questions as possible. So for the Admiral this morning first, former DoD official Chris Mellon reached out to you about satellite imagery from 2017 that depicts a UAP. What were the dates?
222 Street, going to be Texas Tech Tag, 6674.
In the closed setting, I can also tell you the agency that wrote a report on it.
Okay, so who has the imagery?
6674 Adam 62. 6674 Adam 62. Silver Chrysler SUV, Silver Cadillac SUV.
100. No other description.
617. Try again.
The term that the analysts used, they called it the button. It was a disc-shaped object.
Okay, where was it?
I can't tell you that, man.
Okay. All right. Mr. Elizondo, you state in your testimony that, quote, advanced technologies not by our government or any other government are monitoring sensitive military installations around the globe, end quote. If these technologies are not made by any government, who's making them? Private companies, or are you buying their crafted by non-government?
And that's precisely why the problem is that temperature, not just the last
Silver Chrysler Silver Cadillac.
be able to discuss.
Okay. Are you read into CCPD crash retrieval programs?
We would have to have a conversation in a closed session, ma'am. I signed documentation 3 years ago that restricts my ability to discuss specific a year to be reviewed, and what is in the book is what I was trying to talk about.
Has the government conducted secret UAP crash retrieval programs? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, were they designed to identify and reverse engineer alien craft? Yes or no?
Yes.
Does the U.S. government have any reverse? Okay, we already answered that question about retrieval programs. Do any U.S. contractors?
I prefer to address that in a closed session, ma'am.
Okay. In your book, you mentioned government employees who've been injured by UAPs placed on leave and receiving government compensation for their injuries. Is that correct?
That is correct.
How can the government deny we have recovered craft if they're paying people because they've been injured by recovered craft?
Ma'am, that's a great question. That's why I think we're here again, because I've seen the documentation by the U.S. government for several of these individuals who have sustained injuries as a result of
after they have any custody, if we can have a unit come to the
Okay, Mr. Schellberger, I'm going to say again, to be very clear, immaculate constellation.
Its mission is to, as I stated, its mission is to, it's an unacknowledged special access program. Its mission is to document UAPs.
Okay, and do you, for your story report, do you have more than one credible source?
I do.
Sourcing? Okay. And then why do you believe your sources to be credible? How do you judge the veracity of the documentation that's been provided about this program?
I checked the sources, and they are who they say they are. They are government officials. I would also add that I did not specify that they were Defense Department employees. I didn't specify the agency or the gender.
Would they have included non-government employees who are employed by the government?
These are, I'm comfortable saying these are government or previously government employees.
Any of them currently employed by a private contractor or private contractors?
I'd rather not say.
Okay. What's the key takeaway, just a few seconds, about the Constellation document you provided us today?
I think that what the American people need to know is that the U.S. military and intelligence community are sitting on a huge amount of visual and other information, still photos, video photos, other sensor information, and they have for a very long time. And it's not those fuzzy photos and videos that we've been given. There's very clear, high resolution.
How many visuals, graphics, videos, photos?
I've been told maybe thousands. I mean, I also wanted to say, because there was some conversation around concern around the revealing of using normal resolutions. I just think secret U.S. technology revealing that
Okay, thank you. 8 seconds. Mr. Gold, the NASA independent study team got briefed on what you call OSAP. Very quickly.
I flagged the Advanced Aerospace Weapons System Investigation Program to our chair and our DFO. We did not get briefed, but I believe it is definitely worth looking into. That was probably the largest UAP review effort ever, and I think produced a lot of interesting data, including revealing Nimitz. I don't know if my fellow witness Lou might want to. He did yeoman's work.
Okay.
721,
all right, I'm going to turn to Mr. Moskowitz, who will be recognized for 5 minutes.
Madam Chairwoman, Mr. Gold, you gave a whole diatribe about
my drinker smoking up again. Goes in form of 12 transfers. It says cosmic speed.
Non-believers in all this. Just a very simple question.
I'm on Comanche.
Right? Like, why are people, anytime they ask, why are they always thwarted? Why are they always judged? Why is they always have misinformation spread? Why is there always retribution? Why is it always met with, what's the why? It doesn't exist. Why is
I think if you go through the history of science, Representative, it is always difficult for breakthroughs in new
information.
It's always challenging for new beliefs. The more extraordinary those discoveries, the more extraordinary those new beliefs, it's very difficult. So I think this is natural.
Is that Taylor 1 or 7
Not on the call yet. But this issue in particular has been very difficult where again, even to attempt to study it becomes problematic. But every hearing like this, every news report, every video, documentaries, as privileged reports.
I want to put my lawyer. You signed a document. Love that.
The U.S. government, sir.
Okay, you have a copy of it?
It's stored in the SCIF right now. I do not have possession of the U.S. government.
What department of the U.S. government gave you this?
I will say the Department of Defense. Unfortunately, I can't say in this forum much more than that.
You specifically said the document said you can't talk about crash. Well, you know, you can't talk about Fight Club if there's no Fight Club.
Correct.
Okay, I just make an observation.
Yes, sir.
So, that document that you signed, that you said exists, specifically said you can't talk about
Dripping Spring.
Correct, sir. There's a limitation on what because already I'd been speaking publicly about the topic, and so the document said you can continue saying X, Y, Z, but you cannot discuss.
Give me the atmosphere of signing this document. You're in a room by yourself.
I'm in a SCIF with a security officer, sir.
Just one-on-one? Anybody else?
There may have been an assistant as well. It was in a SCIF within a Department of Defense facility.
Give me your background real quick.
My background is I went to school to study microbiology and immunology, entered into the U.S. Army, and after a very short stint in military intelligence, I became a counterintelligence special agent. As a civilian, later on I became a special agent in charge of counterterrorism and counterespionage primarily, with some experience in narcotics. And then in 2009, when I came back to the Pentagon after a tour with the Director of National Intelligence, I quickly became part of a program that was originally called OSAP that evolved into the program now, which is where those videos that we now see, the Go Fast, the Gimbal, the FLIR, that was part of our efforts.
Right, so you're not some conspiracy theorist. You actually have a legitimate background.
Well, sir, I'm certainly not a conspiracy theorist. I'm fact-based, just say facts.
So when you're in this room, I want to paint the picture of everybody. You're in this room, you're by yourself, you're in a SCIF, you're handed a document. How long is the document?
It's about a page front and back. So basically you have some things they call trigraphs, which I cannot, again, talk to.
How long were you given to sign the document?
As long as I need it, sir. Well, I suspect there'd be repercussions. I wouldn't have access to certain information.
Were you allowed to ask a lawyer, or weren't allowed to talk? Weren't allowed to ask for a lawyer to review the document?
It was an option, but they probably wouldn't have allowed me to because the document itself is pretty explicit about you have to be putting me in an interest. Let me try to thread the needle here. There are certain documents that we have in the U.S. government that allow people to have access to certain programs, whether it's a special, and I'm going to be very generic here, whether it's a special access program, a controlled access program, SAP, CAP, whatnot.
How many people have to sign that document?
It depends how many people are going to get access to the information, sir.
Okay. Last question, Doctor. Real quick, can you tell us about the Omaha incident in greater detail? I've read your background, right? Some people would label you as a member of the deep state, since you worked in government for a long period of time. But can you tell us more about that incident? You've written a lot about that.
I've wrote a lot about incidents like it, Congressman, but that specific incident was Omaha, the Torque combat ship, U.S. Navy operating off Southern California. I don't remember the exact date. It was within the last decade. And what the watchdown on the bridge was UAP, again, something that was aloft, but had no observable exhaust control surfaces. So it was something that couldn't be explained. And then they saw it enter the water. from the atmosphere going through the US interface, and so we thus doing trans-medium travel.
Thank you. Yield back.
Thank you. I'll now recognize Mr. Grossman for 5 minutes of question.
Yeah, we'll start with Mr. Gallagher.
Yeah, 10-4. She said it happened earlier. I thought it happened. The only thing I can do is write out a report for it later.
Object in 2004. Remember the incident, the TikTok incident?
Yes, sir.
That's almost.
Phase 1.
Yes, sir.
0495 0495 0401 Metro Rice. Right now,
she stated that she accidentally took 2 hypertension pills today, 1 this morning, forgot, and she took another 1 this afternoon.
For not releasing information that's over 20 years old.
Thank you, Congressman. I don't think there's any good reason to withhold information and important data, especially of national security concern from Congress.
What would they say?
I will speculate, sir, that they don't want to share that kind of information because it reveals weaknesses in the monitor and protect our results.
In your written testimony, claim last year's Oversight Committee.
Start 202 at North Gregory. 6 to Samboy Paul, 4022. Samboy Paul, 4022. White James pickup.
Personal attacks designed to discredit whistleblowers.
Came back around and supported air station after that night for Westport. And then I heard her horn when she was trying to get off the bus. But I got off and she was still sitting on the bus
turned out to be
when I closed the doors to proceed to take off. And at that point she stood up. So I stopped the bus and she wanted off the bus.
Error-ridden.
So I let her off the bus.
In addition,
she got off the back door and left the bike as I proceeded on.
I haven't been able to take my eyes off my husband's pants since he tried this morning. What happened to him? I thought it was just my husband got hard on me for
right now,
stating possibly that the Tic-Tac was American technology. And then, and they also discredit on
123 Richard.
Question their validity and credibility.
Okay. We'll go to Elizondo. I got that right. You're familiar with the recent drone incursion over Langley Air Force Base. The owners of these drones remain unclear. The military has not been in Congress and so given your experience with the Department of Defense and the government, how frequently are UAPs situations? And secondly, suppose hypothetically you could have military facilities around the airport.
Yes, sir. There's definitely enough data to suggest that there is certainly sensitive U.S. military installations, also some of our nuclear equities, and also some of our Department of Energy sites. There's a long historical record that some of your colleagues may have documentation that demonstrates this is not a new trend. This has been going on for decades, and that information has been obfuscated, unfortunately, from folks like you in this committee. And I think that's problematic because ultimately, at the end of the day, we have a significant situation here. We have something that can enter into U.S. airspace with no attribution.
And how long is
this going to be? At least
decades, and there's information that will hopefully be entered into the record.
Can you think of any possible reason why they can't release any information they have on something, say, 15 or 20 years old?
Sir, if I could echo my colleague here, Admiral Gallaudet, I think one of the big issues that we have in the intelligence community, Department of Defense, is we don't want to broadcast any potential vulnerabilities or weaknesses in our national defense systems or on intelligence collection platforms. Therefore, when you have a conversation where you address a problem for which there is no solution, it makes that a very uncomfortable conversation to have.
Okay, let's switch to Mr. Sternberger. The primary reason
we received another call advising that the grandson was
on the newspaper
at the location in Yelling.
called Public, right? alleging
And he was ready to be
unnamed
shot
government
by
whistleblowers
people
come
in
forward
the
asserting
residence.
that a highly classified program exists dedicated to recovery and reverse engineering of UAP technologies. What can you give us? What specific
No, it's
evidence you
2024.
have, or that your source provided you to substantiate the claims about the existence of the Immaculate Constellation program?
Well, you have the report in front of you now, so you can see it for yourself. I checked the report, and I did not find it based on existing cases. It was new cases for me. I hadn't found anybody. So that answered for me that it was not obviously circular reporting, which is one of the big concerns in this space. I also had the name of the program confirmed by more than one additional source. So yeah, and then of course I checked to make sure that the source was
Two vehicle accidents, 1 mile out of the vehicle limping.
I should also say that when I said before it was this database, it is a much broader program than that. It also includes human intelligence, and then, as you mentioned, the retrieval and the reversal.
Any knowledge of what country these things originated in?
No, I have no idea.
Okay.
Okay, I will now recognize Mr. Burchett for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Chair Lady. I request unanimous consent to enter into the record documents
What group is
provided
that accident working on?
to us regarding legacy UAP programs and psychological operations. Lou Elizondo.
So ordered.
I also want to thank my buddy Jeremy Corbell for providing us documents
We'll
and
be back to our
access
contract
to
at-
some whistleblowers. Mr. Elizondo, what is your last position with the federal government?
Sir, I was the Director of National Programs Special Management Staff managing a White House Special Access Program on behalf of the National Security Council.
706
How would you characterize UAPs?
Building with an open door.
An enigma, sir, and a frustration. We're talking about technologies that can outperform anything we have in our inventory. And if this was an adversarial technology, this would be an intelligence failure eclipsing that of 9/11 by an order of magnitude.
Are there classified Department of Defense materials regarding UAPs that you believe could be safely disclosed to the public without compromising national security?
Yes, sir, I do. I would never, ever try to endorse providing some sort of information that could compromise what we call the Blue Force technology or capability. But I do believe there's a lot of information regarding this topic, and I've been very vocal about it, that should be shared not only with the public, but most importantly, with members of Congress.
Are you familiar with my friend David Grush?
Absolutely, sir. I had the privilege and honor of working with him myself several years ago at U.S. Space Force.
Last year,
Maybe on Ocean, I need a medic for that. Make sure
a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program. Would you agree with that?
Our nation depends on our 3.5 million CDL professional truck drivers like you. But who can you depend on when 1 out of 4 professional drivers like you will get a citation this year? A citation that will send you on a desperate battle with out-of-town court dates, large legal fines, unpredictable attorney fees, unnecessary downtime, all of which can cost you up to $5,000 to $10,000 on average, and maybe even your job. You can count on TVC Pro Driver, America's #1 legal CDL protection provider. For more than 35 years, 500,000 professional drivers have trusted TVC Pro Driver to fight their citations and protect their CDLs, their livelihoods. Each year, TVC handles more than 70,000 cases and has successfully reduced or dismissed over 1 million violations. When you get a ticket, we've got your back. With a nationwide provider network of 7,000 top-rated CDL attorneys in all 50 states and Canada. Sign up, submit your ticket, and we'll take it from there. As a member, 100% of attorney fees are included in all our monthly plans for moving, non-moving, and other covered citations. Plans start at just $49.95 with no long-term contract commitment. 100% money-back guarantee if we can help you with your ticket. To learn more about how TVC Pro Driver can protect your CDL, go to prodriver.com.
Amazon early holiday deals are here. With everything you need to kick off the season. Shop Amazon early holiday deals now.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Are there UAP programs operating without proper congressional oversight?
100%.
What are they?
Unfortunately, sir, I would have to have that conversation in a closed session.
I know you said that, and a lot of people are frustrated with those kind of answers, but we're asking those kind of questions so you all know what the heck we're up against. You also mentioned in your opening statement that the Pentagon's Public Affairs Office employs a psychological operations officer as a singular point of contact for UAP-related inquiries. Why the heck would they do that?
Sir, that's a great question. I would ask the Pentagon. There's a long history here of that individual providing misleading and false information to the public through various news outlets and media outlets in order to discredit this topic. I've personally been victim to it. We have the documentation to substantiate where this information has been absolutely accurate. It turns out that individual was advising with his wife, who was no longer there at the location.
And we punish them
He was calling back to request him to cancel the even side TRU report tomorrow because he has to go to work. Is it 10:40 to cancel?
An email you received from the operations officer of the Fleet Forces Command regarding unknown objects almost colliding with U.S. military planes. Did anyone respond with knowledge of what the objects were?
I received no response.
Did the exercise get canceled?
The exercise did not get canceled.
Why do you think the commander of Fleet Forces operations officer never discussed the incident again?
Go ahead.
Sir, I'm speculating because I didn't have an exchange with him, but I believed it to be part of a special access program, the information and the video, which we have known now it was. And, he realized he couldn't share that openly with the recipients of the email, and therefore the email was pulled from everybody's account.
Again, tell us what happened to the email from the commander of Fleet Forces.
The day after I received it, and all the other recipients received it, which were all the subordinate commanders of U.S. Fleet Forces, so 1- and 2-star admirals, including strike group commanders, the email was wiped or deleted from our accounts, and then no one talked about it.
All right. Have you specifically had any experience with submersible objects?
Sir, I've no personal experience, but I've had witnesses on submarines come to me and say they've seen on sonar data.
Correct. Okay. How would you characterize those, and how do they move?
The one instance that was revealed to me was in the 80s on a nuclear-powered submarine, a ballistic missile submarine, that the object exhibited the characteristics of a Russian torpedo in terms of its speed of movement and closing rate with the submarine, and then it slowed and followed the submarine
animal type of injuries, ESC 9010 at 3713 book,
for a period of minutes, and then rapidly exited. So nothing that we know of technology-wise could replicate that.
And the speed of these objects was faster than anything that we had or anybody else has that would be manned. Is that correct?
It was on the order
Underwater.
of a torpedo. So
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. But as it exited, it did.
Well, I don't exactly know how fast a torpedo is, but that's better than my old outboard Scott Atwater, so I'll take that as a yes. Okay. Have you experienced any experience with the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, ARROW?
Yes, Congressman. As I mentioned previously, I have met with them.
Okay. You heard Mr. Elizondo describe psychological operations for those contacting the Department of Defense about UAPs. You mentioned a similar operation by ARROW. Why are federal agencies invested in running information operations about UAPs if they do not exist?
Yes, sir. But I'll make a statement on ARROW's behalf. They have new leadership. The office has reached out to me to meet again, and I take that as a good faith effort, and we'll see where that goes.
Thank you, Chair Lady. I've run over. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tennessee. I would now like to recognize Mr. Higgins. You're the king of Tennessee. Mr. Higgins, you're recognized for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Elizondo, Mr. Schellenberger knows
there's a call for an animal bite 3713 book. Okay, saying that her grandson, 3-year-old male,
the author of this
was bit by a stray dog.
I'm sorry,
small bite to the feet.
Mr. Schellenberger. Were you
So
the
medics
author
pointed out.
of this report? There's
No, I
no
was not.
name on it.
No.
Do you know the author?
I do.
You do. And how would you estimate that madam or gentleman, the author?
The person is a current or former U.S. government employee.
And it states here that this is the public version of the author's report.
Yes.
So where might one find the non-public version
eligible
of the author's
Class C
report?
expires 2031, no
Would that be with the
29.
Department of Defense?
I don't know.
But you do know the author.
I do.
Do you know what the author's sources were?
160.
Yeah, I believe I just rolled up on a minor. Looks like a review. Straight away.
What's your dirty 10-4?
What were the vehicle descriptions?
The author's
There's
sources
a pending one at
are
Staples and
described in the
Laredo
report.
for a white Kia Sorento and a maroon Ford Explorer.
The Immaculate Constellation.
Right, but you expressed some confidence in the sources
Yeah, I think it's what they got
earlier.
Red
in
Ford
in
Explorer and a
testimony,
Kia
you
Sportage.
expressed confidence. So do you know those sources?
I do.
Are they within the Department of Defense?
I can't say.
You can't say
Copy
or you
Lincoln
won't say?
Victor
I won't
Charles
say.
8194.
Okay, why not?
Because I
And
protect
George
my
Victor
sources
King,
and I think they're
3707.
But you're not naming them. It's a big department, but many of us on my side of the aisle would say it's far too big. So you're talking about the Department of Defense, sources from within the Department of Defense?
I'm not willing to reduce the potential universe of where my sources might be.
Okay, moving on. In this report, Mr. Elizondo, for reference, several types of allegedly alien
Mary
craft
George
or possibly
X-ray
alien
3313.
craft or unknown aerial phenomena.
Mary George X-ray
we used to call
3313, Yorktown,
UFOs, or describe spheres and orbs, discs and saucers, oval or tic-tac, triangular shape, boomerang and arrowhead, and irregular or organic. Mr. Elizondo, does that summarize to you the types of craft that we're discussing today?
Sir, that is a general morphology, historically speaking, of many UAP.
So those descriptions, are very different craft. Is it your assessment that they would come of different origins?
It's possible, but it's also could be in sense a matter of utility. And let me just state for the record, I never read the report that or the article that Mr. Schellenberger put out.
That's a good point. We're just referencing it.
Yes, sir.
For descriptive purposes for the American people. Mr. Schellenberger, in this report, it's striking to me that
Mac 72, Mac 72 for mutual aid, 1315 John Wayne Drive, 1315 John Wayne Drive. It's going to be across the street of Ruben Chavez in Robstown, 76-year-old female with low blood sugar. Should be working up a fire dispatch 1630.
Orbs, triangular craft, and irregular or organic craft include some descriptions of biological effects, including feelings of unease, electronic device malfunctions, long-term psychological effects such as anxiety or insomnia have been noted, feeling of being watched, a shared awareness with the triangle craft, and under the irregular and organic craft, biological effects include physical sensations of warmth or cold and unexplained smells and psychological distress. So these are very specific descriptions of the reactions of human beings, which allegedly have been noted from
about the note that said there was an electrical sign in the middle of the roadway near the church on County Road 61.
would have been
Possibly
described
follow
by
up a
the
truck has a sign,
that the
a sign with an electrical box attached to it.
This is a very broad description of biological effects, and it's striking to me that they are present
George Victor King,
with
3707.
relation to some types of craft.
Oh, okay, that one's supposed to be unconfirmed and not showing.
A great deal of
They have
research and
progressive, but
study.
it's
Can you
expired.
explain that?
My understanding is that this is the database is very large. It includes both the images, the videos, the still images, as well as the human intelligence, the reports, the raw data from individuals having these experiences. So in answer to your question, yeah, I mean, I think we're looking at a very large amount of data collected over many decades.
And that data is held by the Department of Defense?
664. Yeah, check DX20. 664, 10-4.
Well, I will say that after I published, I was told that this program, that the USAP was actually managed by the Department of Defense, but held at the White House.
Roger
but
that.
that's a single source, and I don't have multiple sources to verify that.
Thank you, sir. I did my best to trick an answer out of you, but I was partially successful. Madam Chair, I yield.
All right, I'm going to
Thank you. I now recognize Mr. Frost for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In addition to serving on this committee, the Oversight Committee, I also serve on the Science, Space, and Technology Committee, where we often discuss how essential data and evidence are used in science and used at departments such as NASA. During a hearing, NASA Administrator Nelson affirmed the importance of NASA in helping us to understand UAP. Mr. Gold, if the government doesn't have the data it needs on UAP because, say, someone who saw something is concerned about stigma, public backlash, etc., or maybe there's just not good systems in place, how are we supposed to ultimately figure out what's going on?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And let me compliment Administrator Nelson that there wouldn't have been a UAP independent study team if it wasn't for his leadership and courage. We're talking about data and where we can get data from. As I described, NASA has whole archives of data, much of which I believe will likely have information that will help inform UAP. We need only look. And again, in an era with AI and ML, we can relatively quickly and easily go through it. So I think it's something that we should encourage NASA to do. However, for Chairman Groffman's comment about UAP focusing on national security sites, I believe there's something, sir, that you may have heard of called sensor bias. That because we've got more cameras, more monitoring of national security, we don't know how extensive UAP activity may be over civilian areas. And this is the second part of your question. We're not collecting the data. We're not collecting sufficient data from pilots. We're not collecting sufficient data from civilian and commercial activities. And this is, again, where ASRS, I think, could substantially change that, get the data out there, and allow us to do good science.
Thank you. I mean, on the data, you know, I'm a really big proponent of transparency. But obviously, there's always a little bit of balance that we have to have in government on transparency as well. I mean, last year, NASA appointed a director of UAP research in response to the recommendation by the independent study team. In the final report, there's a quote, despite numerous accounts and visuals, the absence of consistent, detailed, and curated observations means we do not presently have the body of data needed to make definite and scientific conclusions about UAP. Can you just talk really quickly about that balance of security and transparency?
So I can say, having served at NASA, it is the most transparent organization I've ever been in. When we would have conversations of executive leadership, things would leak out almost instantly. So I can assure you, intentionally or not, NASA's very transparent. I don't know if any of you work with engineers or scientists. They love to talk. So I believe that NASA is a paradigm of transparency, but we must have the ability and the data to be able to be transparent with. And if we're not gathering that, if we're not looking at it, then we can't bring NASA into the game and get to that good science that you need.
You know, it was about a year ago, I was touring a facility with a pretty senior government official. We went by a certain hangar, and they said, yeah, that's, you know, a company leases that out. We don't really know what's going on in there. We have no way of knowing what's going on in there. And there was a few of those, in fact, while we were driving around this facility. To what extent do you think that some of the UAP out there comes from off the books or unauthorized experimental aircraft?
I mean, I think probably the vast majority of UAP are drones, experimental aircraft, weather conditions, which is, again, why I say if we review the data, I think we're going to discover a lot about things we weren't even thinking about. But there is a percentage that isn't. And looking into those anomalies is how discoveries will be made. And relative to science, Congressman, if I can say, when NASA studies black holes, when NASA studies galaxies, we have instruments that are tailored to do so. With UAP, we're using cockpit or we could never do good science with that. And let me tell you, the NASA budget is under pressure. We need to make sure that the Artemis program is funded fully. We need to beat China to the moon and maintain our presence in low Earth orbit. So NASA would need more money to do this, but I think tailored instruments that would look at UAP. In the same way that we have tailored instruments to look at astronomical data is important to gathering valuable and uniform information. If we were studying black holes by using fighter cockpit cameras, we probably wouldn't know that much about black holes.
100%. Well, I think it's important that federal leaders take the necessary steps to ensure that UAP does not pose threats to the American public as well, and that we have the necessary budgets to collect this data so we can actually see what's going on. And I'm fully supportive of funding the Artemis mission. I think it's very important. Also, a personal note, the pilot is a frat brother of mine. He is a member of the Phi Beta Sigma Incorporated, so I would love to see my fraternity make it to the moon.
Redwire is building cameras in Artemis, so we will take some pictures of your frat brother and get them.
There we go. Thank you so much. I yield back.
Thank you. I will now recognize Ms. Luna for 5 minutes of questioning.
Mr. Elizondo, to your knowledge, can you name the country and around time frame that the first back-engineered UAP program started?
Ma'am, unfortunately, I would not be able to have that conversation in public.
Can anyone on the panel name that?
I cannot.
None of you? Okay. This next question is for Mr. Gallaudet. To your knowledge, have any USOs ever outpaced our submarines?
Yes, ma'am.
At what magnitude?
I don't have the exact speed, but again, a witness came to me, a credible former submarine officer who observed it on sonar data. And this was in the 80s in the North Atlantic during a storm, and it outpaced his submarine by orders of magnitude.
Are you aware of any hotspots that currently exist off our shores in North America?
Not with sufficiently credible data, ma'am.
Okay, we've heard reports of there potentially being hotspots, maybe entry and exit points. Have you heard of any of that?
I have not, ma'am, but my colleague here, Mr. Elizondo, does discuss some USO activity that he's observed in certain DoD databases.
Mr. Elizondo, in regards to these aircraft being piloted by whatever they might be, non-human biologics, would you agree that it's likely that they are being piloted by some mind-body connection?
It's going to be intoxicated, driving a red truck by the name of Juan Diego. They are being intelligently controlled because some cases seem to anticipate our maneuvers, and in other cases they seem to I came across an email where
we do have 36 District location. We are getting another contact. He's going to be a detailed on our phone for
their ships pursued by
in our previous panel,
Charlie 3 is going to be reference Charlie 373's call. It was going to be an all calling advising that he was really threatening to kill him. He was coming in via text. They did our location. Advice of each subject was going to be 36. We are getting another call.
From a scientific perspective, for example, instantaneous acceleration, which was one of the observables of the program that I belong to, ATIP. The human body can withstand about 9 G-forces for a short period of time before you suffer negative biological consequences, blackouts and ultimately redouts and even death. Comparison, our best technology, the F-16, which is it's an older platform, but one of our most highly maneuverable aircraft, manned aircraft, made by General Dynamics, can perform about 17 or 18 G-forces before you start having structural failure, meaning that the airframe begins to disintegrate while you're flying. The vehicles we're talking about are performing.
Wix gives you the power of AI to build the website you need. With full business functionality and a design tailored just for you. Customize every element of your website. And watch your vision come to life. Control everything from the biggest tasks to the finest details. Personalized, optimized, ready to go live.
In excess of 1,000, 2,000.
Location, we are getting another contact. He's going to be a detailed on our phone for
I'm not prepared at this point to state for the record
Charlie 373's call. It was going to be an all calling advising that
there was a time in science where we thought that life required oxygen.
They did our location. Advice of each subject was going to be 36. We are getting another call.
and also same with photosynthesis. When I was in college, it was everything is derived from photosynthesis as a form of energy. In reality, it's not photosynthesis. It's energy. So we're constantly having to reevaluate the definition of life. Having to reevaluate.
And have you ever come across reports from people that claim to have firsthand experiences with these entities, whatever they might be, or these aircraft, and then their religious findings? Anyone? So just real quick. Lou?
Ma'am, I've always been a nuts and bolts kind of guy when I was at ATIC. I was focusing more on the performance characteristics and less on the potential occupants.
Okay, the reason I ask is because it seems like, just based on our conversations, that we've had people that say that there are good and bad of whatever these things are. And so my concern from a national security perspective is A, that true? B, are you guys hearing reports of that? And C, I think moving forward in regards to technology, Mr. Wolf, answer this real quickly. Some of these aircraft, it seems that they are operating off of energy that we don't currently have. But just yes or no, in your opinion, if we were able to obtain that, would that impact humanity for the better or negative?
Would certainly save us some money on funding on Artemis. And this is a national security issue, that if there is such technology out there, we're not the only country that might have access to it. We don't want to be on the wrong end of technological
tracking a vaccine of a mill on her roof.
Thank you guys for your time.
Being called in by a Nancy.
All right, thank you. I will now recognize Mr. Garcia for 5 minutes.
Thank you, and I apologize for stepping out. My governor is here upstairs, trying to get in between meetings, so apologize for that. I wanted to start by just asking everyone on the panel what it is, and I had a chance to before. But just to set the agenda, just go down real briefly. Do you believe that the federal government, any part of the federal government, is knowingly concealing evidence about UAPs from the public?
Yes, sir.
100%.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. I also want to just go down the line. I know many of you have already said this, but just for the record again, just briefly, what do you believe?
Strong evidence that they are non-human, higher intelligence.
That's what we want to see.
Sam William, 8872.
I echo my colleague's comments, sir.
We hit the 30-day mark.
Genuinely do not know.
Doesn't mean that we go home and don't finish what we are
Don't
trying
know,
to
but
do
we
here,
must
which
find
is
out.
getting and
Okay, thank
serving
you.
more aid,
I appreciate
to
those
the
answers,
Palestinian people.
gentlemen.
Well,
I think this is obviously another remarkable hearing with just really important information, so I thank all of you for answering the questions. Admiral, I just want to go back to one thing. Now, last year our subcommittee heard from 2 retired Navy pilots, Lieutenant Ryan Graves and Commander David Fravor, regarding UAPs. Actually, I think Ryan is here in the audience and been a great person to get to know and to have conversations with. He, of course, has been involved in the Safe Airspace for Americans Act with Chairman Graves, with Chairwoman Mace for UAP reporting by civilian aviation personnel. Can you discuss briefly why it's important for civilian pilots to be able to report UAPs and why these legal protections are critical for national security?
Yes, Congressman, thank you. And I did invite Ryan Graves as my guest, as I'm on his advisory board for the Americans for Safe Aerospace, and the legislation that you supported and introduced, I fully support as well. And I think it's important that more civilian pilots, commercial pilots, report so we can better understand and learn and do research on UAP, as well as remove the stigma so more citizens report. And also, it will only contribute to aviation safety when we have a better understanding of where these UAP are, how they operate, and at what frequency and what capability level. So it's important for aviation safety, and it will be important for moving science and research forward.
Thank you, sir. And I just want to reiterate to my colleagues, I mean, this is a very bipartisan piece of legislation, and we just got to continue to get this through the Congress, and it's incredibly important that civilian pilots have the opportunity to safely report the UAPs that they are seeing or encountering in the air. And I can't express how critical this piece of what I believe is a larger collection of evidence and facts actually happened. We've been approached by pilots. I've talked to folks that have been engaged with our office and others, and there is still enormous stigma. And essentially, we don't have a system where folks are feeling free to be able to report what they're seeing. So I just want to reiterate that.
that advocacy. Mr. Gold, in your testimony, you discuss NASA's aviation safety reporting system and confidential non-reporting mechanism. In the Safe Airspace for Americans Act, we explicitly allow for civilian reporting, of course, of UAPs. Can you explain why the NASA task force recommended the use of the aviation safety reporting system?
What we've seen in the past when we're talking
the
about
aviation safety reporting system is an existing
Have
system that is trusted
Make one of the manual posted Monday, similar silence, however, goes to be a dog caravan.
constraints. This is not the perfect way to be able to gain more data. And when it comes to the stigma, sir, it's something that pilots are used to reporting on, that crew is used to reporting on. So it's a great way to get data, to overcome the stigma without spending really that much more additional money since the system exists. Thank you so much for your support of that. Thank you for what Ryan Graves does. This is common sense means to expose the truth of the purpose of this hearing.
And I just want to also add that earlier this year, as part of the presentation of the NDAA, I filed an amendment to include the UAP Disclosure Act and create a UAP Records Review Board and exercise with exercise of eminent domain over UAP-related material modeled actually on the JFK Assassination Records Collection Act, which is widely known. Now, the amendment was blocked. Thankfully, the Senate included the amendment by Senator Rounds and Schumer for the UAP Disclosure Act. So I just again want to say that we should be pushing and ensuring the UAP Disclosure Act, which is bipartisan in its support, should move forward. And if I can just briefly, also particularly Admiral, briefly or my closing time, explain why the UAP Disclosure Act would be critical for us and our national security.
Yes, I believe the UAP Disclosure Act is important for national security, as well as advancing potential socioeconomic benefits resulting from UAP research, as well as public safety, as we referred to previously regarding aviation. And this act will allow for greater transparency and open research, and that's why I'm also a member of the UAP Disclosure Fund as an advisor, as in the Soul Foundation, as an advisor, senior strategic advisor, who's advocating for the same.
Thank you very much. I yield back.
All right, thank you. I'd like to recognize Mr. Biggs for 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for holding this committee. Thank you to the witnesses. Admiral, the video that is called the Go Fast video, the email that you've talked about being deleted, I just want to briefly cover this. You said that the email, the author was asking whether any of the recipients were aware of the classified technology demonstrations that it could explain the objects that were observed. And then you said the email disappears. Then you guys have a series of meetings. The commander of fleet forces and his operations officer never discussed the incident again. Is that right? Is that accurate?
That's accurate, sir.
And even during the meetings, it was never discussed again. My question for you is, hear that nothing was going on about that.
Yes, sir. I was in those meetings, and
did you make inquiries?
No, I did not, sir, because I inferred, since I've been read into other special access programs, that this UAP video was part of one that I was not read into, or any of the recipients or the author of the email, and that an intelligence agency basically pulled it back and instructed the author of the email, hey, this is, you just conducted what they call spillage into a lower classification level. And when that's done, the procedures are basically to remove any of the communication.
So, Mr. Elizondo, you said in your report and your testimony today, the government work on UAP subject still remains classified. Excessive secrecy has led to grave misdeeds against loyal civil servants, military personnel, and the public. All to hide the fact that we are not alone in the cosmos. Fair?
Yes, sir.
All right, and all of you, and Mr. Schellenberger, by the way, I've read several of the books, Mr. Schellenberger, excellent stuff. What I would say, too, is you were asked about the veracity of the author of this report. You comfortable with the veracity?
I want to be careful.
Yes.
Don't want to get into
and then, and I'll get to you in just a
second. They had a lot.
These are going to be the only 2 calls from that department in the last 2 months.
Dispatch military code 110.
Received code 1 for lane 0.
Yeah, be advised, Kimberly facility code 1 with a 71-year-old female, currently 804 with the GCS 15. Patient had a chief complaint of difficulty breathing. She's had a respiratory infection for the last 3 weeks, but it's really gotten worse over the last 2 to 3 days. Patient's trying her inhaler, just not doing anything for her. Not for prescribe or anything else. Current vitals are going to be blood pressure of 160 on 98, heart rate of 108. Patient was standing at 92% on the room air. Currently, she's at 98. We did even albuterol treatment. Typically 95 and glucose is 136. Currently have the patient on a non-rebreather at 10 liters a minute, and we do have an IV established, and we'll reach our facility in about 6 minutes.
10-4, I'll be standing by, right? 10-4.
470.
He's walking in the grassy area.
That's not something that I'm going to try to address from here. It is not something that we'll be addressing from here.
10-4-11.
What I can speak to is what the president has done over the past almost 4 years.
Donkey Henry 1190. 1.2, receive.
Ending 1.2.
Are you back at the location?
10-4.
Okay.
In dealing with a broken system,
304 more, 10-4.
system that has been broken for decades now, and trying to work with Congress on doing that.
Delta 450, 10-4. Delta 460, you can show you quick.
And as you know, there was a bipartisan deal that came about from the Senate.
Show me clear and put me on that escape. So,
Can
I be clear from this location? Everything's go forward. What was the last seven?
Worked on.
304 Moore Avenue. 304 Moore Avenue for 4-year-old female. Fell down. 4-year-old male TDC. One adult female. 3 mileage 311.
And you know, we of course would love to see that go through. We would love to see that happen. The president was ready to go.
Take a ZL number 16563815. 16563815.
Charlie,
and Republicans were told not to move forward because it
would help
Joe Biden, which is really unfortunate.
Show us 5-7. There's nothing showing.
Because it would have dealt with this broken system that we have.
Delta 20, Bravo 2186, to SPAD 960 to SPAD at the stripes on SPAD Westbound Drive to assist the citizen. I'm sorry, Caitlin. Delta 490, 51 malicious 315 on stage, 315 on stage, contact Realnet.
It will dealt with the challenges that the Border Patrol agents were facing at the border. That
Delta 490, 51 malicious 315 on stage, 315 on stage, contact Realnet. Requesting a ride home. Amazing that she lives outside of Live West near the Elevars.
10-4.
We need a second call to the location. Animal control has already been advised. It's going to be for 3 dogs that killed 1 dog.
She's calling us for a ride home.
It looks like that's what it's going to be, but I'm not too sure with that. She's always of something that her dad's friend was fixing. They're not. It looks like, yes, that's what she's calling for a ride home.
That is something that would be great to get done. But
it looks like that's what it's going to be, but I'm not too sure with the dad. She's always of something that her dad's friend was fixing. They're not. Yes, that's what she's calling for a ride home. Delta 490.
Beyond that, I don't have anything to share. I'm going to start wrapping this up.
Yes, great. RTA advised Animal Control is already notified, and there will be handling that. We've got an report.
President-elect Trump, there's reports that Elon Musk is having a lot of
421's arriving.
sway in terms of his decisions, in terms of who President-elect Trump is, you know, having come into his administration.
13 units drive, 1513 units drive, ESC is 3305, 14 EMS 1317. Second call to motivation. I was going to be able to take 3 dogs that killed 1 dog. Go ahead. Animal Control had previously advised that PD was not needed. Green Medic Rescue 3 Medic 10 for Justine. 1513 units drive, 1503 units drive, ESC is 3305, 14 EMS 1317.
That is
1 dog. Animal Control had previously advised that PD was not needed. Delta 490 did call the RP, advised that Animal Control had already been advised.
Okay, 10-4. Are they just wanting contact with animal control?
Yeah, they've been notified of President-elect to decide on. I'm not going to comment on personnel decisions or personnel choices.
As in the animal control is notified?
Which door?
Okay. Yeah, they've been notified and we're good.
I'm assuming it's going to be 6490 101414 101414. I'm advising she heard 2 gunshots. This is the 3rd time she's killed him.
That doesn't have access.
Nothing else heard her say.
Where's the
transition announces or being reported or what's happening in that world. It is not for us to speak to.
You can show the clear.
630. Show me how rejected underneath the railroad bridge, clearing roadway, or debris out of the roadway. Show me out on 359 underneath the railroad bridge, clearing roadway, or debris out of the roadway.
Focus on the American people. Focus.
834, David Victor 97.
Transporting a female to the address 2722 Lake Rhapsody. Starting mileage is going to be 19.9.
5001 to please.
19.9 at 324.
Focus on making sure that we have a process, a transition process that's orderly.
Stop and clear.
19.9. Basement Navino is not letting me log on. It says no communication.
2450. Time for reading this.
Let me check. I'm sorry. What's up?
And that's why we want to make sure that we keep that democratic, honoring our democratic principles. What the president-elect does and speaks who he speaks to and how he wants to think and envision his administration.
Were you going to be at Shoreline, arrived at Shoreline with enough?
Yeah, you can put me there and I arrived. He's going to sign up for vaccine. 632 roadways clear. I'm here at Maine.
Or kind of.
Make contact with Kathy Simmons.
That's what it's barking at.
36.
President Biden, is it still the plan to travel to Africa at the...
It's going to be disturbance over an accident. The RP was hit, and the RP was following her. She's going to be in the blue Volkswagen Jetta, and they both stopped at the Family Dollar there on Arlington and Ayers. Okay, 10-4. And families are showing up.
Reschedule it, obviously, because of what was happening here domestically with a historic hurricane. We had said that the president would go the first week of December. That's
10-4. Delta 46, you can show you clear. Delta 425.
Delta 425 is going to be 10-6 adjustment at me.
10-4, have a good day.
Delta 425 is going to be 10-6 adjustment at me.
10-4.
We're going to be at East Long Airline on Tom Falls.
642.
Tom Falls 1014 10-4, on the airline. Location. Charlie 410, show me traffic.
4913.
4913.
Tom Falls 70.
Could you log me off, please?
What now?
10-4. Mary Victor Sam 9.
Short radio.
10-4. Mary Victor Sam 9402. Was that going to be eastbound or westbound? Westbound.
2470 Wilfer.
29. Charlie 470 Wilfer.
Okay. ID number 2800
to the Infinity parking lot.
28. Say again, 28006428.
Infinity parking lot. 28006428.
Charlie 445. Disturbance 4310 lane. 4310 lane. If he's advising of someone trying to steal this bike from his residence, this is going to be a white male with a white shirt, blue jeans. Advising that he was able to track down the male. Advising that he's telling the male that he's not going nowhere.
Yeah, Lieutenant?
I don't see them out here.
10-4. And so this is going to be a white male with a white shirt, blue jeans. Advising that he was able to track down the male. Advising that he's telling the male that he's not going nowhere. RP advised that he does have a firearm. He left it in the vehicle.
Here, traffic.
331 for an assist at 4337 Kilgore. The RTA was saying that the tenant had been paying the rent and they were given 3 extra weeks to move out, but they're refusing to leave.
Okay, so you ready to report your own?
Where? Got the 290-210 for 203 3rd Street for trespassers. In terms of finding contact. 24 call.
Okay.
And 3445, just be advised with the RP is going to be in a white Dodge truck, advising that they're not going to be by Guadalajara, and they're by the pre-owned vehicles.
Charlie 445.
One call. Came in from Corpus.
Also, we'll be doing a walkthrough of the business.
CCIS, guys.
10 for you, advising that we're trying to steal the bike from his residence.
Charlie 47, how many are willing to do if you want to take me?
10 for 70, 10 for I don't feel detained at 335. 10 for you, advising that they were trying to steal the bike from his residence.
10 for. We have them on the line. Come stop all of them, please.
10 for.
4110, copy, second plate.
You want to take me?
So, 10 for 70, 10 for I don't feel detained at 335.
Victor Henry John, 8758.
Charlie for 10, Charlie for 94. No, Charlie, 4444 Weber Road, 4444 Weber Road, at the stripes on Weber and Guadalajara.
Call from Medic 7, Medic 10, Glacier, 4313 Aspen Street, 4313 Aspen Street. EFE 7009,
EFE 4444 Weber Road, 4444 Weber Road, at the stripes on Weber and Guadalajara. 410 en route.
Fire clear, what's up?
Aspen Street, 4313
I'm getting us on address right now.
EFE 7009, Cross Street, Redwood Street at Medic Street, and Medic 335.
Life and received. 10-8.
That's 4010. Control for 6480, first suspicious person, 3714 Tampa Court, 3714 Tampa Court, contact Larry.
Alright, dispatch for Medic 10.
3714 Tampa Court, contact Larry.
Arriving ending mileage 3.4.
Arriving here, converse. The officer advising here, noise outside. It sounded like somebody was calling his name, possibly two Hispanic subjects. Somebody was calling his name, possibly two Hispanic subjects.
Dispatch Medic 3.
Never.
Okay, we show clear control line.
Delta 40, did you copy your call? Delta 275, 20 out of the 30 for Captain Salgado. RP's advising is still noticing on our case harassment neighbors. RP's trying to PRD. We contact with me. Decline contact. Jennifer.
Item 411, you can show me clear.
Truck, the RPA saw pulled to the location around 10 minutes ago. Advising a male, no description, jumped out, jumped through the fence. Was stealing copper from the location.
Delta 2, I looked around a little bit. Go through shoreline 0.1.
Go 3 shoreline 0.1.
Dispatch Medic 10.
Medic 10.
People there at work. Alright, go through shoreline 0.1.
So the 275, I'm going to show you, I'm holding off on that booty call. So the 275 is around for a fight in progress, separate in Cantwell, separate in Cantwell.
Also mental status, 8 times 3, GCS 14. Mental status acting abnormally.
Any Hispanic in a white shirt, black shorts with white socks and sandals, choking another female. Hispanic wearing orange and black baseball cap, orange crop top, no weapons, calls for being updated.
No at this time, just due to this abnormality of how he's acting at this time is the reason why we're going to go through. I'm only going to do a blood pressure at the heart rate 99, oxygen saturation 94, finger stick 2695. We did just 2 milligrams of
maybe just take this next night. 10 for 11 seconds.
Not very much, just want to carry that.
Call from your RV, hitting a male, hitting another male outside the apartment.
Medic, repeat the blood pressure?
5533, airline check.
At this time, did you patient tensing arms and were able to get an accurate blood pressure?
Sample D1425 civilian place unity.
We're off calling for one of the full, sir.